Hello, welcome to the Pregame. My name's Rob, and while we're late, we also have now turned the sound on.
Excellent.
No sound.
No one heard my apology.
No one heard Tom's apology. Hello, I'm Rob. I'm your host for the Honest Wargamer. I'm also your technical expert, which means sometimes everything will go really fucking wrong.
I mean, you did fix it.
I did fix it.
And I just got a notification on my phone saying we're live. So
we are live.
Yeah,
we're live on Facebook and we're live on YouTube, which is cool. So if you guys are interested and I'll be taking questions, obviously, on Twitch mainly and only. Vladium, thanks for subscribing for 6 months in a row. Woohoo! Am I the only one without sound? No, you're not. Hi, Hook and Pin. Hope you're feeling better. DeBolt says that we're professionals, obviously. Tom just wanted to clarify that Thursdays he's no longer going to be late.
Yes, because all the kids that are normally there until 6 o'clock have left for the other school.
Perfect. So you can stop taking pictures.
It means I'm not going to even dignify that with a response because I'll probably lose my job.
Hashtag little dudes.
Ace says, great, late but looking great, and I've got to agree. That
works every week.
Yeah, every single week. We're not going to... do you know what? So someone put a comment about our show last week, and he said, do you know what I hate? Podcasts that just bang on about their hobby and all their crap for an hour and a half, then they get on with the review.
Yeah.
And then it's like an hour of content.
Yeah, so what we'll do, but I like doing it because it gets you guys warmed up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it even makes Tom pay attention.
It does. I am paying attention whilst I'm screenshotting the most important bits of the thing I need to talk about in the news.
Perfect. But what we'll do is we'll just try and go straight in there, with the news.
Straight in dry.
Really? Dry. No fucking about.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even no foreplay at all.
No overcourse.
No overcourse.
No overcourse.
As I wait for pictures of the blind, that's what came up.
So if anyone's interested in what the subject of today's shows are going to be, it's a little bit esoteric, but we're going to be doing the news and reviews, and we'll obviously be talking about some of the Nova stuff that happened at the weekend. So there's a big 40k tournament over in America, which is interesting. DeBolt, my little lad is watching tonight. No dirty words, boys. No problem.
Okay.
Easy peasy.
That's
easy
fine.
peasy. Let's try and have
problem.
an entire show, no swear words.
Okay.
Yeah.
We almost made it the first ever time we did it where we dropped in one swear word and that was it.
It's like BoJack Horseman where they drop one F-bomb a season.
Oh, okay. And you got okay. I'm not off BoJack Horseman. So
we'll try just for the fun of it, and see if I can manage it. I almost managed it on anyway. So straight into the news.
Okay.
Straight into the news. So we're going to be doing that, and then what we're going to do be talking volley fire. Andy says I give it 37 seconds, and I say
challenge accepted.
What a barstool.
Yeah, nice.
What a barstool.
And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a conversation about questions you should ask yourself about your army and your opponent's army once you when you get to the tabletop in a game of 40k. That's a conversation. Lucas Maximus 3504, Johnny Hawkwind, thank you both for subscribing. You guys are wonderful, absolutely, and you guys have got loads and loads of BDE.
Oh,
loads.
okay, good.
Yeah, you know what that is? You guys know what that is?
As opposed to we are not the BDC.
No, the BDE.
I know what
Do you know what
that
BDE?
I'm not saying it live because we'll ruin our stream.
It's big energy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to the club.
Yes. BDE. You got loads of BDE. Hi, Johnny Hawkwind. And we're going to be having a conversation about what it's like on the tabletop. Yeah. Like deploying to Bob's also subscribed for 9 tomorrow. He got 9 months of BDE. Yeah.
It's all about combusting out.
Yeah, just doubling up. Almost lost it there. So you'll hear that section when you want to get to that section. So news, gentlemen. But straight in. You're both
an official ringtone.
You're both well though, aren't you? I just care about.
No, but that's okay. We can carry on.
You're not well.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You're also great.
Yeah.
Okay. Hope everyone out there as well who listens to the show. You guys are fantastic.
I think you did ask, but we were muted, so no one knows.
Oh right. Okay. Good. I also want to say thanks to everyone on Patreon and who's a subscriber on Twitch, because you guys let us do this show informally, freely, and without bias. Yeah, this is the studio. You allow us to say things. So, news from Games Workshop this week. Yeah, before we go on to the Nova news.
First piece of news I saw.
Yeah.
On the way in here, while I was definitely not running late, I drove past a tram that had a Games Workshop careers advertisement on it.
Have you never seen that before?
No.
There's a whole tram, isn't there?
Has it?
5 years.
Yeah.
Never seen it. It had some Age of Sigmar things on it.
Yeah.
A Stormcast.
Sometimes when I get the bus, they've got a little site because the Nottingham, people don't know this about Nottingham buses. Allegedly, the council and NCT, which is our public transportation system, are in mafia cahoots. I'm not saying that they're lizard people, but they're lizard people, yeah? And they're all like sacrificing, allegedly, children.
They're putting
and, like,
chemicals in the water.
The whole thing.
Turning
And
the
like,
population gay.
Nottingham's one of the poorest cities in the country of the UK. One of the poorest cities, but also has the best buses. We have buses with USB ports in.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, why?
Make it easier for the people who can't afford, like, I don't know.
Yeah, if you get in the bus.
Free electricity
You just sit on a
for
bus and
people.
charge at your iPad, just going round and round and round.
Volley Friendly, thanks for subscribing. I appreciate that, yeah. 5 years advertising, still not enough rules writers. Wow, says LLB. That's an industry that really needs an influx of new blood, it would seem.
That was spicy.
Anyway, and they also have closed down all. Anyway, I could go on about if anyone would like to listen to my
We'll do a whole bus episode,
theory
won't we?
podcast coming soon.
We should do that. So
We'll do a whole one.
We have a 40k show, and then we'll just have the
bus show.
the Rob show.
The buff show.
The buff show.
No, okay.
No cameras for that.
I think most people put up with me just to hear 40k news or Age of Sigmar news, let alone hear any more. So, Altboy Phil, evening. Right, the news from the Nova News. Oh yeah, little side note. So I'm on the bus, I see the advert, and it's like, would you like a career at Games Workshop? And I say, no.
Not
Just
anymore.
spray paint on it.
No, thank you.
Not anymore. Thank you. Been there, done that.
So there's been some incredibly exciting news just out today, actually. Past couple of days, maybe. I missed it. So on pre-order this weekend, so Saturday, whatever it is, the 7th, I think, is Rogue Trader. Yeah, so it's a box set. So it goes in at Symbol. Thanks for subscribing. You've got loads of BDE.
He favourites all my tweets. I appreciate him.
He's great. He is great. Sassy.
No one heard it.
It was quiet. It was quiet.
No one heard that.
So yeah, the Rogue Trader's gone on pre-order, and it's a box set very similar to
Silver Tower?
Silver Tower. No, not like Silver Tower, because that's in
no.
Poland. Not like Silver Tower, like Tooth and Claw.
Oh, okay.
Forge Bane.
Forge Bane, a bit like that.
Oh yeah, because it's no game. It's just. Or is there
no, because it's a kill team.
It's kill team. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kill team. So it's two opposing kill teams against each other.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really exciting. But why it's massively exciting is also all of the units inside. There are 2 codexes for 40k.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I saw this.
Yeah. So there's 2 halves of a box. So we're getting Codex, Elysidian. I'm saying that right. Elysidian Star Striders. I've been practicing that all day and I still bodged it. So there's Codex Elysidian Star Striders, and then there's Codex Galaprox Infected.
Okay.
Yeah. Question, Tom. Yeah, go for it.
Are they usable in 40k?
They are. That's the point. Roombeard, thanks for subscribing. Hi, Adi Mac. Yeah. So they're both usable in 40k. So they're 2 small codexes with stratagems, items, the whole biz.
They are not going to have been play tested, are they?
At all. Big on no.
One of them's going to suck and one of them's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Predictions in the Twitch chat and from you two, and anyone listening at home. Which one of those 2 is your prediction? Is it the Imperium one or the kind of more nurgly one?
The Imperium one will be broken.
Hi, Acrylic Chemist. The Imperium one will be broken.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. I could go with my head and my heart here. I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm gonna say the nurgly one's broken, just to be spiteful. We've got enough broke. All Imperial stuff is kind of well, when we get into Nova, we'll see more about how Imperial stuff is broken. But
yeah,
nobody else. I'm not gonna talk about it now.
Symbol says, my guess, they're playable like Shadespire units are in AOS. So yeah, for a Shadespire, the game from Games Workshop as well, the warbands that you get for Shadespire can be used in Age of Sigmar. They're generally...
Is Shadespire a card game?
Yes, but you get 4 or 5 models.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, well, depending on which. Sometimes you get 3, sometimes you get up to like 5 or 6. Me Smash, thanks for gifting JBoot Studio a sub.
He's trying to catch up with Fluxy and...
Yeah, Me Smash has a competition on, but we appreciate it, loads, Me Smash.
While Fluxy's away, he needs to,
Yeah, Fluxy's currently offshore digging up.
Digging for things.
Yeah,
Digging
for Warhammer. Ancient Warhammer, buried under the sea.
Right, so, 2 codexes coming out, which is super exciting.
Do we know how many unit entries there are?
100%, and that's what is the next on my list of things. So, which one do you want to do? I'll just go for them. Codex Elicidian Starstriders are the
hereby known as Imperial Book.
The Codex. Yeah. So, in Shadespire you can use the warbands in Age of Sigmar. They're pointed. They've got match play points, and they're a little warband all on their own. These guys, some of the squads are. So there are units and there are squads, and there are individual models, and they have all got match play points. And there's stratagems apparently in the Codex, so it'll be a super cool little mini review we can do next week.
Definitely,
which will be really exciting. Oh no, not next week. It's on pre-order this weekend, so the weekend after.
So next week we've got a special thing, don't we?
Yeah, the Imperium book has got Niche's squad, which the data sheet was shown on Warhammer Community. So on their whatever it's called, their sales blog, the model flogger blog, yeah,
Model flogger.
model floggers and their blog.
Yeah.
One of which has got a guy with a rotor cannon, which is strength 4 -1, 4 shots, 24 inches, strength 4 -1, does 2 damage. Is described as being able to take out a Terminator squad.
Oh wow!
I'm like, it's got 4 shots.
After
those Terminator squads are 5.
After he's done, there'll be no Terminators on the board. There'll be no Terminators on the board anyway.
Yeah, in the first place.
Can it take out an Ironclad Dreadnought though?
Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah,
we could do. We could do 8 damage, right?
Yeah. So crap.
That's what the Codex is there. I thought this would have had a bit more traction on the internet, but it hasn't seemed to be a lot. I think it's missed a lot.
I didn't even know there was a. No, I don't know about it.
Yeah, so the box.
I know the models.
There's basically 2 mini armies you can include in 40k. So yeah, they've got the Niche squad, which includes the dog. There's a dog.
The doggo.
There's a doggo, and there's it's kind of like an elite infantry squad for Astra Militarum. They hit 3s, as opposed to 4s. It's kind of cool. They're only 35 points, so they're very cheap.
So what for the whole unit?
The
whole unit.
Per guy.
Is it 10 or 5?
5.
Okay.
5. But they do have that rotor cannon in for 35 points. 24 inches strength 4, -1, 2 damage.
What's their save?
Sounds like a blank
normal.
grenade.
5.
Normal 5 save. I think. Let me double check.
Could they all be given special weapons?
No, they literally come as standard, right? That's.
So they're like shit Elysian drop troops.
But they are an actual unit. It's kind of like, sometimes you would give your unit a story, but these are each one's a name. The dog's even got a name. The dog is called Aximilian. Then obviously you've got Voidmaster Niche, who is the sergeant, and then you've got 3 Voidsmen.
Okay, so they're kind of like a special character, but it's a unit.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's like the Court of the Archon.
Yeah, kind of thing. So there's them, and then they've got, a little bit confusingly, they've got a bunch of different characters, and they've got a Death Cult Executioner, which kind of looks like an assassin.
So
maybe
like
it's an assassin. Yeah, a Medicae sort of person, and then Electromeister, who looks like a Mechanicum dude. So you might have a variety of keywords within this singular codex, which could be quite cool. Mm-hmm. If you took that as a detachment, and then you took, let's say, a Mechanicum detachment, maybe they could keyword work together. We'll see.
Maybe.
And then you've got the Codex Gelapox Infected.
So Nurgle.
Nurgle, but they are in the book. So in the post, they've said that they've had Nurgle demons released. They've obviously had Nurgle Chaos Marines released in the Death Guard. Now these are Nurgle humans that have been infected.
Nurgle cultists.
Nurgle cultists.
So like Poxwalkers.
Yeah. So there's 3 big models: the Nightmare Hulks. There's toughness 5 with 4 wounds. They've got disgusting resilience as well. Though it doesn't say what save they've got.
Yeah.
But they might be pretty good, badass.
What does it say what their movement is?
No, none of that.
So none of the important stuff.
No, it just gives you some ideas. But 3 big dudes potentially, and they're combat.
Bros.
Yeah, they're combat units. And then you've got Gelapox mutants. So they're kind of medium sized. They're like Poxwalkers, but it says they do mortal wounds, which is interesting. And then you've got mites, grubs, and glitchlings. Ooh. So really small little swarm type unit as well. But it doesn't say whether or not they're you can feel multiple Nightmare Hulks. Maybe Nightmare Hulks are super broke accidentally, and they're super underpointed, and then someone buys 30 boxes of this thing. They could have a crazy Nurgle based force, which would be quite cool. And if they've got the Nurgle keyword, then obviously the Codex stuff will interlink with them. So what do you guys think about the fact that that's out?
I think that with similar things that we've seen in the past, like with Silver Tower, I think these are like a beta test for codexes that they're planning to release at some point in the future. That's what I think anyway. So I think that the small codecs, they're probably developing those models now, aren't they?
Sure.
Okay, so that's what I think anyway.
Yeah.
Or
potentially it was a different game that they were going to make, and then they've
decided to do something else.
Yeah, like maybe they were going to make some sort of other game, and then they decided to maybe can that idea and just quickly launch it into Kill Team.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Who knows?
That's the
knows?
Hypothetically.
Oh, yeah, hypothetically.
Is that what you're guessing?
That's my guess.
Oh, okay.
And you could take that guess to the Imperial Bank.
Okay.
But the models look great, I think.
I haven't even seen the models.
Oh, like, bring it up. Can you get it on the telecomputer? They look great anyway.
On the telecomputer.
Turn on the telecomputer.
Yeah,
Activate telecomputer.
It's password for booty.
JBoo Studio, how you doing? But Me Smash, thanks for giving Bob Monkey Cheese, who's now in the house, a subscription. Also, if you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast, we are live on Twitch.
I'm going to go get it.
That's what we're doing.
You got it?
You guys make terrible TV.
Yeah, we do, but that's why it's a
I know what
podcast.
to tell you. It's not. It's a TV show. People are watching right now.
Yeah, it's a bonus.
That's a bonus. Watching us live is the bonus. The models are great, especially the doggo. It's a bit of a shame the doggo's not as good. But what do you think about the fact that Games Workshop released Necromunda, which is a skirmish-based 40k game, effectively,
Kill Team,
and then they released Kill Team, which is a skirmish-based 40k team?
Even Titanicus is skirmish-based apocalypse game, really.
Yeah, but like, there's nothing quite as similar as Necromunda to
Kill Team.
is there?
Game, yeah.
What do you think?
What about Shadow War Armageddon?
Yeah. Oh, 80 Mac, thanks for subscribing. Oh, Me Smash, thanks for giving 80 Mac a subscription. Andy Dunn in the house. Woohoo! Thanks for subscribing. Andy Dunn, by the way, one of the nicest gentlemen in Warhammer.
Is he?
Yeah. Me and Andy Dunn are currently 1-for-1 in our tournament matchups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go for a 2v2 one day.
Is he a AOS player?
He's an AOS player. He's an all systems player.
Oh, okay.
He's also loves solar panels. I've never met anyone who
Solar
loves
panels are pretty good.
Yeah. Smart fella. But his head looks a bit like a solar panel too.
It's a stratagem.
Okay, Tom.
Thank you.
Got you, Andy. Got him.
They look very anime.
What? Yeah, they look great though.
So they look like they've come straight out of like Bleach or something.
Yeah, they look really good.
So they've made a codex for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 models.
Mini codex.
Oh, mini
this
codex.
guy looks like a Coke can with a head on it.
Which
Yeah,
use more descriptive words so people can see.
He's got what looks like a crappy version of a custom force field.
He does, yeah.
Is it so that would be the Lecter Priest or whatever he's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks cool. I like him.
I really like these models. They almost look like the old Imperial Guard regiment.
This guy's even got an Imperial Guard head that looks far too big for his body.
What's the old Imperial Guard detachment that?
The command point.
No, the one with the fancy helmets. They're like the rich guys.
Oh, the Russian ones.
No, not
Vostroyan?
Not Vostroyan. The ones that look like the English redcoats.
Oh yes. Great question.
Help us.
Hashtag know the name.
Yeah, hashtag know the name. What of every Imperial Guard regiment ever in 40k?
Yeah.
Alright, calm down.
So
I can go in Imperial transports. There's the doggo!
I think it is.
Yeah, so they can go in Imperial transports.
The dogs?
No, so the units in the Imperium part, they've got a special ability, allegiance ability or special strat. They can go inside all Imperial transports.
Could you put 40 doggos in a
No, because the doggo is part of a squad.
Yeah.
And you pay 35 points for that squad.
Oh, what I was saying was I thought it'd be like Court of the Arkham where you can have this many of this type of model and this many of this type.
No.
Okay.
So like, the Praetorians.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you very much. Or Annie Dunn says the Victorian Dragoons.
What are these Hulk things called?
So, oh god, great question.
They do look like they're from an anime.
They're called Nightmare Hulks.
That one looks like it's from an 18+ anime. That one's
those are from Codex Gelapox.
Yeah, Dr. Mundo. There you go.
Codex Gelapox.
Yeah.
Did you play?
Anyway, I thought it was quite exciting that there were 2 mini codexes coming out with these, and I like. Now, when we get to it and we talk about the Nova coverage, loads of people obviously don't like soup in 40k. So that would be multiple detachments with, let's say, keyword Imperium or something similar like that. I quite like that because it allows you to field a cool little thing like this into your army. I think it's great narratively. I love the range of models. I think that's great. But I do see where that problematically causes an issue with game enjoyability. Game balance is a myth. Game, like, not having to fight the same 300 Smash captains.
Have you seen the Nurgling pulling his head off?
Yeah, looks great.
It looks good. And the Siamese Nurgling.
Doesn't it look good?
I like them.
It looks great.
I do like them.
Right? Yeah, I'm well excited. So I'm going to be I think I'm going to be trying to pick that up because I have a Nurgle Force for 40k, I have an Imperium Force for 40k. I love little extra models. Even just some of those models can make cool commissars or like just alternate models for things. But I don't know, I liked it anyway. Nightman says, I enjoy a good Imperial Broth, which I think is great. I remember Deathwatch Overkill also came with mini codexes as well. Shame that's no longer available. And it is no longer available. Interesting. Anyway, so there's that coming out with 2 mini codexes. Excited? Are you worried about the fact they might have accidentally not tested some of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that your feeling about every codex?
No.
What?
This is more my feeling because I feel like at least with those you get people to at least have a look at it before the FAQ drops. Whereas with these ones,
in what instance have we seen that be true?
I'm just more concerned about these.
Okay. Because you're feeling.
Fear.
I think they could. There's potential for some units to be really bad, but it's only a few units, so it's not like a whole codex that could be broken.
Yeah.
It's only a small mini codex, which is fine.
It's not like previously where you can just take that unit 10 times.
Yeah, it'd be hard for people.
I mean, you might be able to take the Hulks several times, and they might be like even better. Jukari, Talos, or something. But we'll see. Maybe they won't.
Yeah.
Maybe they will.
I kind of want to run like 27 Dr. Mundos into someone's face. Looks like fun. Yeah.
Looks good anyway. Tom's mic has slipped. Tom?
No, that's my shirt.
Could you talk into yours?
Yes, I can.
Oh, it seems to be okay. A little bit louder, maybe. Thank you very much. Try one more time.
Greetings, friends.
All right. Welcome. Gelapox being bought. What's the damage on them? I think it's 80 quid for the whole box set, which is not bad if you're splitting it with a friend. And obviously you get both halves. So, cool. All right. So that's coming out. 2 mini codex is the thing that excited me. Some cool little models. If you're excited about doing both bits, sure. Right. Next up. What was I going to... Oh, no.
We've got Nova Open.
There's Nova Open, but there was something I wanted to talk about before the Nova Open. It's September, gentlemen.
Woo! FAQ month!
It's FAQ month. So, I want us to everyone in the Twitch chat.
In 6 weeks.
Wait, Tom, can we just double check your microphone? Which
number
is yours?
Mine is number.
Have you muted it or unplugged it?
It's still plugged in. It's got the on button on. It's 491550.
I don't think yours is on.
Isn't it? I'm just that loud, but we thought it was because I was cleaning the mic off.
Maybe you're coming.
The light's on for mine. It says on.
Yeah, looks fine.
Okay. All right. I just want to double check. Obviously.
No, of course it's worth double checking, man. Hello, testing.
There we go.
Is that coming through?
Maybe that's a bit better. Make sure it's not muted.
If the chat's complaining, where's the mute button?
It's on the top.
It's not muted.
Because you sometimes fiddle with stuff. Good.
Right.
Good. All right, there we go. We've nailed it, everyone. Professionalism restored. So it's September. Excitement for the 40k community.
Yeah.
This is when.
The big shake-up.
Thank you for making the joke for me in the chat already. This is when potentially there's an FAQ for 40k. I'm very excited. But what we get to do is the Honest Wargamer FAQ sweepstakes, where we get to guess the date of the FAQ launch.
I'm ready.
Yeah, right. So it's out in September. The last one obviously came out on the 42nd of a month. So I'm going to go for September the 50th.
50th, okay.
Yeah. Those are my thoughts. Tom, talking to your PlayStation friends isn't going to help you
No,
here.
I'm not talking about PlayStation.
Nikos, what's your guess? And also, everyone in the chat, please have a guess.
I think it's going to be in the very, very last day of September.
The last day of September.
The very last day, because I think after the last one, they'll be keen to make sure it is in the right date, the right month. But I think they'll still give themselves the longest possible time.
Okay.
So I think it'll be the very last day of September.
Okay. Roombid says 27th. LOV says September the 42nd. Welshie says September the 28th. John says the day after the Orc Codex. TFG Radio says the 24th. Vladium says that's very optimistic, Nikos. I like how your optimism was the worst potential. You were like, I think they'll give themselves to the deadline. And then everyone's going, you are being optimistic, my friend.
I could embrace the meme and say something really far away. But I don't think they're going to drop it before the GT Heat.
Okay.
Because that's too close. And I think they'll give them some time after the GT Heat as well. Because, or professional players such as you two turning up and showing them how it's done.
Excuse me, Tom. That was laced with sarcasm. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not swearing. Yeah? That was laced with sarcasm.
Well, this is the thing, bro. Like, if you win with
Such
your
a grasshole, isn't he?
You can't win, because if you do, they'll nerf your bloodletters.
That's true.
Yeah. So you're not allowed.
They won't nerf my army.
They'll nerf your Bulgarins.
No, I'm taking Harlequins.
Oh, well, they'll nerf your Bulgarins anyway.
Yeah, they won't nerf them anyway.
Whereas last time, I think we released it on a Monday, so I'm going to go for the last Monday of the month, which is the 24th.
Okay, last Monday, the 24th. Okay, so everyone write that down so we all know who's winning the sweepstakes. Nikos, Dude Our Days just donated 100 bits to your vault funds, which is good.
They'll nerf vaults in the next FAQ.
The Volley Fire Andy says September the 32nd. Okay. Hook and Pin, 30th of September 2019.
That's a Sunday.
I was going to go for
that. That's a Monday.
Nightman thinks it's the 69th of September. Matt Lloyd says, will there be an FAQ for the FAQ?
Yes, it's called Chapter Approved and it's out in December.
Good. Yeah. Fall Angel says, okay, bitches, I'm back into 40k.
Who is that?
Oh, right.
That is Gary. God damn it, Gary.
Oh. He's been saying that for weeks, by the way.
LOV says it'll be Friday or Monday. Dude Our Day, that, and then Jay Booth says, I'm fine smashing people with the sisters. They can nerf sisters. We didn't have that much to start with anyway.
That's John, isn't it?
Yeah, that's John. Rest of Santley says the 29th. Did Games Workshop confirm the sisters will be in the FAQ?
They said that so I think Sisters of Battle are getting a mini codex in Chapter Approved, I think. Like a small beta codex. Yeah, they're getting a small beta codex with stratagem and everything.
News from last week.
Yeah.
They must be really struggling to put anything in Chapter Approved. They must be like, we are fucking running out. Oh shit! No!
Because they were fixing it in the FAQs, but I don't know where it's going to. I guess I got to send Chapter Approved to print, where they can't really send. They don't really send FAQs to print. We just bang on the website and they're done.
Yeah.
So Chapter Approved has to be done months in advance.
Oh yeah, so they've already done it.
Yeah.
They've already done it.
So like, right, what we're going to fix in a few months and what we're going to fix now.
Wow.
So like the points changes come in Chapter Approved then? So
yeah.
So they've already decided what's... Yeah.
They've already changed the points.
Well, they've already done a few points changes in FAQ as well.
Yeah.
Because they didn't turn the last one, but...
Yeah. Scuttlebutt is that there's a lot of point changes coming in FAQ.
Good.
Yeah, good.
If you guys haven't ever listened, hi Synchronize. If you guys have never listened, also if anyone's checked out Synchronize's fantastic Belisarius call done in orange, just saw that on some sort of social media today. It looks swelligant.
Yeah, swelligant.
Yeah, swell and elegant. Also,
are you okay, Rob?
I'm having a stroke. So anything else? Yeah, if you guys listen to our review of the last big FAQ, my question is, what is also, this is the other question, what's the title for the new FAQ going to be?
The big FAQ to the Electric Boogaloo, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, that's the obvious, one. Do you think that they'll embrace that meme?
No. The Games Workshop, when did they ever meme? The only people that meme are the community team, occasionally in your comment sections.
Talking about Duncan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good normie meme.
yeah, good normie meme.
It'll be some sort of Latin.
Some
Latin word.
Well, what's Latin for FAQ to Electric Boogaloo?
You think it'll be in Latin?
Electricus Boogaloo.
Electricus Boogaloo. To be fair, we know that they listen to the show. Yeah, so we could give them the idea. Yeah.
All right, we'll help them out.
I'm pretty certain when the Orc Codex comes out, my mech guns are absolutely in the sin bin. They are.
Well, that's because everything else is going to be much better. Not because I don't know. How am I still going? You two guys.
I just get excited about.
It's going to get the mech guns are going to get wrecked. It'll be like you're allowed. Because currently you can take them in units 1 to 6. I'm almost certain you can take them in units of 1. So I've got 23 spare in the future for match.
Now you know how I feel with my Hive Tyrants, man.
But you've only got 7 spare.
Yeah, but how much money does a Hive Tyrant cost with the Forge World upgrades?
Do you know how much mech guns are each?
Did you buy the specific mech gun? Well, you might have done, but...
No, I got them free for doing the 24-hour live stream for the launch of 40k. I was like, I want an army for talking for 24 hours, and they were like, which army? And I was like...
Mech guns.
What's the most expensive unit for points? Mech guns. 20 mech guns, please. Which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anyway, £28 for each mech gun, by the way.
Yeah, so £560 worth of mech guns for doing a 24-hour stream.
And the rest. Orc boys.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, DeBolt says, this is great. Dark Reapers are 40 points each, says Dude All Day. Shannon Spears, 9 points each. No mixed factions in FAQ. If Heineken did FAQs.
Reapers are already almost 40 points each.
Huh?
Reapers are already almost 40 points each.
How much are they?
Like 27 points for the gun, or 22.
That's not almost 40.
That's just for the gun.
Yeah, so then how much is the dude?
5.
I wish I could swear more. You're such a rat. That was such bait.
Leave him alone. It's okay. I've got an outlaw list in my pipeline I'm testing out, but it doesn't have any dark readers in it.
So some people are saying it's called FAQ2 Guardians of the Galaxy. Matt Lloyd says goodbye Tesseract Vaults. Nikos, the only Necron competitive choice.
It's because they're buffing Doom Slabs and you don't need to take Tesseract Vaults anymore.
How could they buff them?
How could they nerf them? How could they make them worse? That's a better question.
Oh, Symbol's come up with a good name. The Fecundus Secundus.
Oh, that's good.
That's really good. Please someone tweet that. Or no, they don't have a Twitter. Just they ignore all the social. You know, do you know what I really enjoy is when someone does a complaint on Warhammer 40,000 and they go, please email the team. And I'm like, that is just to a bin. Yeah, I imagine that's to a printer that prints it out and then it goes into a shredder and it just shreds it.
Please email our community team. FAQ suggestions. Beep, beep, beep.
Right, root beer, but war boogies are going to get buffed. Why else would they redesign the models? Of course. So that's Symbol says you should have asked for a giant pyramid made of armoured containers. That would be cool. Aceface says CP Farm's going stupid night up by 100 points and Yunari loses some of the ability to do so much.
I'm hoping is gone.
Yeah.
You could have asked for something better.
Hi, Scared Cast from Canada.
Oh, that's Ascari.
Nice. Ascari?
Yeah, Ascari.
Judas Iscariot?
No, that's Scary.
Oh, Scary!
Scary.
Oh, nice!
Scary.
Yeah, he's nice.
I was listening to him on the way down on Caledonian Deathwatch.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I need to talk to him about his witch list because I played against 60...
Witch list?
Well, he's... Exactly.
That was great!
He wants to run a witch horde.
Does he?
I played against one a couple of weeks ago.
How was it?
So it was painful.
Oh, nice.
It was. It took a while to shift. I shifted it. But
who played it?
It was just some guy down a local club, but he was running a witch
Which
horde.
guy?
Exactly.
Perfect.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, he's the CCB champion, isn't he?
He is, the capital C Bloodbath.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I can't believe we've got a celebrity in the house. Wow. Also Aceface and Matt Lloyds and DeBolt. All celebrities. And Symbol and Nikos and Tom. And you listen to the podcast. Whoever you are, you're a celebrity. You go walk into a mirror, you look at yourself and you go, I'm great.
I know who I am, therefore 100% of the important people know who I am.
Exactly. Right, okay, so talking about the next piece of news, now after the September FAQ probably is coming out.
In September.
Allegedly.
Hypothetically in September.
And Andy Dunn wants to point out he is also the reigning 40k staff champion for Games Workshop.
Oh,
Andy Dunn.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, the reigning staff champion.
For 40k?
Yeah. He beat all of the rules writers. So he actually did it with only half the points and his eyes closed.
Good. So he cheated with his measuring.
He says he has to go to work, Scary, but he loves us all. That's really nice.
I'll touch you later.
Yeah. So, Tom, apparently they're going to also increase the points of all Forge World models in the FAQ.
By 1 million points.
By twice as much.
So Super Chicken becomes 3,000 points.
Yes.
Good. That's okay.
Do you think that's about appropriate?
No, but we'll go for it.
My Tau Supremacy suit, which is currently rocking around 1,900 points, now unusable in 1,750-point tournaments, is now going to go up to 4,000-ish points.
I mean, it wasn't usable in 2,000-point tournaments because it was so crap.
It's so crap.
You're the one that said that.
It's so crap. It's unbelievable.
What's worse, that or 2 stompers?
Right, tangent question. Did Twitch give them a small game a partner yet? No, they did not. We did not keep the numbers high enough. They said try harder.
Okay, we'll try harder.
Again?
No, we won't try harder. We'll just do great shows that everyone listens to.
There you go.
And I like it this way. Also, because all of our content's free to watch back as a VOD. So it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Right.
Just in the notes.
Yeah, and also now because we can also live stream on YouTube and Facebook, so there'll be some people watching on both of them now and put it out as a podcast. And sometimes if you put Games Workshop can't have their VODs be live streamed onto other platforms, because it breaks the terms of service of having to make people subscribe to be able to watch VODs. Yeah. So we're calling the market boys.
Got them.
Yeah. Multi-platforming. Yeah. Next live stream into Snapchat. And
stories.
And stories.
It's just me running around the left hand sofa with the Snapchat story.
And fridge freezers.
And the cone on my head from some emote. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, so with October, when the FAQ comes out from Games Workshop coming out, it's October.
Yeah.
And have we already talked about the cool new models coming out?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
I talked about the lovely naked orc.
Yeah, did we talk about the Daka stratagem and the Night Gallant and all that?
We did, yeah.
Oh, what the flip? All right, cool.
Well done. Good job, Rob.
Go.
Nice dodge.
Okay, good, perfect. So then, the Nova Open happened this weekend, yeah, and loads of people played 40k.
Loads of people did.
And loads of people played 40k with exactly the same list.
So, the guy in third place was a guy called Eric Trock with Catachan Jungle Fighters.
Okay.
The guy in second place was a guy called Trent Northington.
Yes. Don't posh boy, Trent Northington.
Of Northington Hall.
I went to private school, man. I'm allowed to.
Do you think Trent Northington...
I worked it too.
Can we talk about Trent Northington and how much of a baller he must be?
All I know about him is he plays for a club called the Warhogs, and he was running Catachan Jungle Fighters.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
And then it was won by Andrew Gagnon, who won the Invitational and the Open last year, and he was running Catachan Jungle Fighters.
So I got a little bit of info from the chat. I've played Gagnon, says Naceface, and he says he's a great sport and a top lad.
I was following him around the LGT.
But is he a lad in England? Some of you people may not know that. There's specifically a place on the internet called Lad Bible. Yeah, and lad culture here in the UK is where a group of lads get together, watch the footy, drink Stella, hit their wives, and chant.
That's not funny anymore.
I didn't say it was funny.
No, it was when you said we started doing the stereotype, and then you said they hit your wives bed. I'm like, I should stop laughing. That's not funny.
Were you like autistically responding? Like, this is a funny thing, laugh. This is a funny thing, laugh. That's not a funny thing. Stop laughing. Exactly.
I've got to make the works of Lad Bible.
Show human emotion.
Yeah, quick, try. But I've got a good Gagnon story from ETC. So he was someone had lost his passport, and Gagnon came straight up to me and asked if I knew where Val was because he's an expert in people who'd lost their passports.
Oh wow! So,
okay,
all right. So he's a lovely man.
He's a really nice
and
guy,
was the winner.
He won the Open, and the Invitational was won by Mr. Tony Special K Kopach.
Wait, who's Tony Special K Kopach?
He's a guy that's prolific in the Nova Open over the last 5 years, and he was playing.
He's not the Tony Cockwomble guy.
No.
He's the Tony Great guy.
He's a good dude.
Oh, nice.
And he was playing Catachan Jungle Fighters.
Wow.
What the hell?
It is nice to see some variety in these events, isn't it?
Well,
I think so too.
Well, we had Nick Rose and Nick Nanavati both got knocked out of the semi-finals running Gene Stealer, Colts and Tyranids, which I actually had in the Discord to go and win it, and Gunari. And then I think it was Demons versus the Catachan Jungle Fighters in the final. Alex final. What would Alex do, Alex? Against Tony and his... In fact, Tony played Gagnon in the Invitational, and there was a 1 point difference. I think it was like Tony 40, Andrew 39. So.
And also, 24th place was Orcs.
With Catachan Jungle Fighters. That's how it works.
So, Jeff Rusbo asked, were they all running exactly the same lists? Let's talk about what the lists were, why they're important, and before we talk about that, it's important to remember that these were the Nova missions.
Yeah. The final was Alex in the final wasn't running Demons. He was running. I believe he was running Catachan Jungle Fighters with Knights, but he didn't have Blood Angels. Right.
Okay. So it's important to talk about the fact that it was the Nova mission pack. Am I right?
It was. Yeah.
Which is it a variation of ITC or is it their own system?
It's their own system, but it's a lot more similar to ITC than it is ETC.
So some of you guys out there who are maybe not into 40k at that top tier competitive level, or possibly just don't give a fuck about what the Americans are doing. I mean, or just, are interested, they've got their own mission pack. So if you were to buy like chapter approved, or if you were to buy the core rulebook for 40k, they wouldn't be playing missions exactly the same. So when we go on to talk about these lists...
Custom missions,
yeah, as showcased on the Warhammer livestream. Custom missions.
That sounds so exciting.
Was it custom with a K?
Better missions than us.
Was it custom with a K?
That would have been smarter.
Yeah.
Anyway. But it's important to note that when we talk about these lists and how competitive, and how they performed, the one-dimensional nature of them might be down to the fact that the missions created more optimal lists from such as this. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but if missions inherently create a single list that's better than everything else, you would see, like, okay, I need to see style single missions, this list wins all the time, which is, I guess, is true.
Yeah.
But to a lesser extent, I guess.
Yeah, but it's important to note.
It is, yeah.
Because people at home might be like, I took that list from that tournament, but then Bobby just killed all my dudes. Like, well, they were scoring completely differently.
I was just thinking my way through my own thought process, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so...
by the way, he was playing 3 gallants instead of splash captains.
He was, yes. So he had knights and captains.
Well, let's talk about the list in order.
Well, I've got Andrew Gonyu's list, which one we open.
So that's the winner?
Tony's, which one the invitational.
Okay, so let's do both.
2 winning lists. So we've got Tony's list, which was Guard, Astra Militarum, Blood Angels, and Knights.
Okay.
So he had a Guard Brigade, which was Katachan. He had a Company Commander, which was his Warlord, had a Power Sword and a Plasma Pistol, and Iron Hand Strachan, and 2 Primaris Psychers. He had a Priest and 2 Platoon Commanders, and what this does, and they have Power Fists.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting what works. So the Platoon Commanders get 3 attacks each, the Priest gives them another attack, Strachan gives them another attack, and then there's an order that you can use to make them fight twice.
Yes.
So it's 28 points, and they basically get 10 attacks and strength 7 AP minus 2 damage D3.
Wow.
Which is kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
He then had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 infantry squads, 2 Hellhounds with Storm Bolters and Heavy Bolters, and a Sentinel with a multi-laser.
Mm-hmm.
Then 3 times 3 mortar batteries. And then he had a Blood Angels detachment with 2 Blood Angels Smash Captains, so that's a captain with Jump Pack, Storm Shield, Thunderhammer.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 squads of 5 scouts. 1 of those squads had 4 bolters, and 1 had a close combat weapon with a blade. And then he had a Knight Auxiliary detachment with a House Raven Castellan with 2 Siegebreaker cannon. So that was his list.
So important. El Cooper in the chat wants to say, let's see if we'll give this some validity. It's also important to note that Tony Kopak took the exact list of the ETC. It rocked face with it. ETC was the uterus for this list that is everywhere now. Would you say that's true and fair, or would you say it existed before?
We had kind of Imperial-based lists before, but we didn't really have the Katachan-based list before.
Right.
So,
and we also didn't have access necessarily at the beginning of the year to the Imperial Knight.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was a clever list. I was impressed by a lot of the American lists this year. They were really good. So
sucking up to him now, isn't he?
No,
he's trying to be an American. He's trying to go to the ETC with America next year.
Is that what you want to be? A ringer for the American team next year?
But no, seriously, credit where credit's due. I bashed them on them enough. I need to.
We agree.
If they do some crap stuff, I'll bash them. If they do some good stuff, I'll praise them.
Importantly, the Blood Angels captains we've heard about a lot already.
Yeah.
Some people might not be so familiar with the Hellhounds, but they've been talked about enough. They're really quite good, and they're really quite cheap for their points. And then the infantry squads, and then definitely what's new is the Katachan kind of like power fist element of that.
Yeah.
How much do you think that list is propped up by the Knight Castellan?
Well, a lot of it is the Castellan, and you've got a lot of stuff in front of it, so you never get to the Castellan. You've got 2 spooky Blood Angels captains that can hit the scary stuff, I guess. The thing is, I haven't actually played against the list.
There's a hell of a lot of screens there, isn't there?
And
Scouts and all the infantry squads.
Taking last week's show into account, we could say that he definitely has physical defence in depth. Well,
there's a lot of it that feels weird, because when you look at it, so you look at the Sentinel that's there, that's only there to fill out the last of the fast attack choices.
Yes.
It's the cheapest option. You've then got 2 Hellhounds in there, which at first glance look weird, but I know he was using them quite well at the event, so... it's just...
Do you know, how was he using them?
I don't know.
Oh,
I can't remember how he was using them, I'm afraid. But it's one of those where if I haven't played against it, I can't really talk. I don't want to talk in depth about it because I'll just misrepresent the thing.
Yeah, which is absolutely fair. Hopefully, maybe we could get them on the show. Talking about that'd be really cool. And hear about that. Interestingly, TFG Radio also shout out. Those guys are fantastic. If you want to give them a listen, says that the Castellan, Astra Militarum, and Blood Angels list won a GT in June.
Yeah.
So it's important to note that that things like this have been knocking around.
Do we know which GT it was? Because a lot of the time Europeans are smug and don't pay attention.
He's American.
GTs. Yeah, but do we know which GT it was?
No.
Okay.
Oh, you mean the European? So you were criticising the Europeans. We're smug and we don't pay attention.
We're smug and we don't pay attention to most. Well, we don't pay attention to most of their GTs because most of their GTs.
It's like how we never go to any other country. And like the whole world has had to learn English.
Yeah.
Because we won't learn.
We can't be bothered, can we?
Yeah, we just can't be bothered. I think that was a good trick on our part, though.
We'll pay attention to Nova, we'll pay attention to Adepticon, we'll pay attention to LVO, but like things that like are big, like state ones, for example, you have like, we'll go like, okay, well, Josh Death will be there because he goes everywhere, and then you'll have a couple of maybe local decent players that go, and then that's pretty much it. Is the European perception. So we won't really pay attention to those ones. We'll wait until they all bring it out in force.
Yeah, it's interesting. Event. It feels like there needs to be a unified place for this information. Something that has been our conversation continually going on.
From people all around the world.
Yeah. So Flying Monkey GT it was actually Trent Northington that won. Fuck.
Trent Northington of Northington Hall?
Trent Northington!
Heir to the Northington Manor?
Oh my god, I hope Trent Northington's
as opposed to the Southington Manor.
I own all of the land Northington of this place.
Be gone, peasant players. This is my duty.
Hi, Minis. So it's hold on. The guys want to say here. While she's saying Hellhounds move up, Flame Infantry, and blow up on a 4+.
They do blow up on a 4+. They're kind of an arse to get rid of.
And they get to reroll with Katachan on the flame weapon. Yeah, so that's an important note. And they're
kind of cheap as well, and they feel like fast attacks.
Yes, they feel like fast attacks as well. So interesting. And then, how different is that list to? So that is whose list was that?
Tony Kopach's list, and this is Andrew Gagne's.
Andrew Gagne. So, and Andrew Gagne. So Tony Kopach won the Invitational.
Yes.
And the Invitational was a group of
32 players that were invited.
To play in a ladder match versus each other.
Yeah, and it's a knockout.
Yeah, a knockout.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to see if I can sneak in again next year because last time was fun, and I've got some points proof. So, okay, next one going up, Andrew Gagne. He has Astra Militarum, Brigade, Katachan.
Wow, different.
He has
Shock.
A company commander with the relic and stuff. He has Ironhand Strachan. He only has one Primaris Psyker.
Right.
Okay.
Then he has elites, a priest,
the best Ministerial priest.
An Ogrin bodyguard with a slab shield and a maul.
Real badass.
Mm-hmm. He has a unit of 10 Crusaders.
Nice.
And a unit of 8 Crusaders.
So the Crusaders, according to Ace in the chat here, are amazing as engineers, which really made the difference between the two lists.
They're really good.
Okay.
Amazing as what?
As engineers, and that's what made the difference between the two lists.
Engineers.
I don't know what he means by engineers.
Yeah, what do you mean by
I assume he means...
they don't die very well.
I think what he means is their ability to fix machines.
They don't fix... Crusaders are units of 10 with storm shields.
Huh.
Unit of 10 with storm shields, unit of 8 with storm shields.
Alright.
And then you have a 6 units of infantry with Sergeant Chainsaws. Then you have 3 Scout Sentinels, 2 of which have multi-lasers, and then 1 has been upgraded to have a Heavy Flamer, and 3 times 3 mortar teams again. So you've minimised the heavy mortar. So basically, you've got the same heavy support. Your fast attack is very similar, but instead of a Hellhound, you've gone for the cheapest options. And then you've buffed out your Elite's choice compared to Tony.
Yeah.
So you've gone for the Crusaders over the what's he taking? Over the Platoon Commanders and Power Fists, and you've taken an Ogrin Bodyguard as well. And then he has a Blood Angels Battalion detachment with 2 Smash Captains.
Oh my god!
Wow.
And 3 units of Scouts.
Wow.
How about that? And then he has a Castellan with Knights Raven with 2 Siegebreaker Cannon.
Oh, wow.
So the only difference is one player is focusing more on fast attack, and one player is focusing more on elites.
Yeah,
in the Guard Brigade.
So it's important to note that the engineers that we're talking about, and as we talked about at the top of talking about these things, it's a mission in Nova, so it was a way of scoring. And engineers are, as El Cooper says, a silly Nova scoring thing. You have the ability to nominate units as engineers. Right, which means they score better. So you made 2+. So you made 2 up invulnerable save units, engineers, and racked up points.
So that was it.
So that's using the Primaris Psyker spell.
Well, also people were doing it with Magnus. Huh? People were doing it with Magnus as well.
Yeah. So what's important to note there is, like we talked about at the top, because the mission, it sounds like both lists are obviously good lists anyway, but
very similar as well.
Both incredibly similar. So that's something to talk about. But also that because of the particular, these are lists written for the pack in mind, which is obviously a really good strategy.
It's almost like these players talk to each other being on the same team.
No way.
I know, right?
No way. And which team are they on?
They're both Team USA.
For
40k.
For ETC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Some people won't know that you're talking about the ETC.
Oh, it's fine. I just didn't.
Yeah. So they're in the USA team for the 40k ETC team, which this year won the event.
And they made themselves, or someone, either way, they've got their hands on some, League does those World Championship rings.
Yeah.
We've got some of those.
They've got some rings.
They've got some rings themselves. I don't know if it was a third party. I don't know if it was themselves.
I know.
But
it's very American.
It is there.
Yeah.
It's very American.
Do they all? Can they put them together and they form like a symbol?
Yeah. If they put them all together, Captain Planet comes out and tells all the Americans to stop destroying the planet.
Yeah.
If we put them all together, and they become Barack Obama. It's like Power Rangers.
What did Tom? So Walshy asked, what did Tom think of the Warlock Skyrunner Conclave list, which was on the Twitch Invitational? Seems like a good counter, maybe.
I didn't see it.
Okay, there you go. So, so I suppose the next question to ask everyone on the Twitch chat and you guys. Well, actually, let's finish the conversation about the lists.
Okay.
So the Castellan, really good Imperial Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you can't get at it because it's surrounded by infantry.
Good. Yeah. So you can't get it. The Blood Angels captains are particularly good because they take they are allowed items which either stop Overwatch or they do extra damage.
So there's a couple of things you can take with them. So you take them with the Thunderhammer Storm Shield, but you can also give them a stratagem at the start of the game called Death Visions of Sanguinius, which is 1 command point per use. And what that does is it gives you +1 attack and Death Company. So it gives you a Death Company keyword, which means you have access to a stratagem that allows you to move before the game starts, and a 6+ Feel No Pain as well. So you take those.
It's not called a Feel No Pain. DPR, damage prevention roll.
There you go.
There we go.
Because to call it a save is confusing, Tom.
I know, sorry.
It's okay, no, we're all learning. I was learning on Monday. I was saying after damage save, it's not that, it's a damage prevention roll.
And you might feel pain.
Yeah.
That's not what it is. There we go. Yeah. So, where was I?
Talking about Blood Angels captains.
That's it. So, I mean, the 2 relics that you would commonly take are the Angel's Wing, which allows you to ignore Overwatch. And then you have another one called the Veritas Vitae, which allows you to regen command points and a 5+ every time you use a stratagem.
Yeah.
So if you have a Imperial Guard detachment with Tactical Genius, and you spend a stratagem that costs you 2 command points, you roll 2 5+s for that, and then another one for the Veritas Vitae, so you roll 3 times, and on a 5+ you get a command point back for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you spent 1 command point, you make 3 rolls. Could you potentially get 3 command points?
If you spend 1 command point, you'll get 2. You can roll twice because Tactical Genius allows you to roll once for each command point you spend, and Veritas Vitae allows you to roll once for each stratagem you use.
So if you use a singular 1-point stratagem, you can roll 2 different dice, and then you can roll, and then on a 5-up you get a command point back. So you can spend 1 command point and get 2 back.
2.
Yes, you can.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah, it's less of a farm. Oh, I suppose it's a farm, I guess.
Then you've
it's like a plantation.
Then you have a stratagem which is 2 command points that allows you to charge on 3d6. Then you have another stratagem that allows you to get d3 extra attacks. Then you have another stratagem that allows you to fight twice at the end of the assault phase. And you've got another stratagem which allows you to fight on death. And then you get +1 to wound on the first round. So you'll be using the fight twice in the first round, so you're winning on 2s with up to 16 attacks.
Also, interesting point for Zeb Mini, talking about the rings that they had. He said, I think the American sports teams buy their own rings. Talking about the thing in America, makes sense. They all like a good ring job.
I was told we were by a third party, but
Grubby, thanks for subscribing. And then Grubby also has a show on Friday nights talking about Warhammer. If you ever guys watching that, Grubby is his Twitch channel. Sorry, continue.
I think that was it. That was all the stratagems. That was a lot of stratagems.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, like adding water to a Gremlin.
What did you even just
talking about ring pieces? Right. So that you win as an award.
You slip your finger in.
Huh? Yeah, exactly.
You need to make sure it's warmed up first so you can actually get your finger in.
Exactly. Exactly. Moving on. We're live on Facebook, by the way, everyone, and thanks to everyone on
banned.
Patreon. Banned.
we were trying to be really careful. I still haven't sworn.
I've only sworn once.
I've only sworn 3 or 4 times. How I did this for an actual job.
We were talking about ring pieces.
No, that's fine. Anyway.
Okay.
So those lists are fairly identical with the FAQ coming out. So last time Games Workshop went to Adepticon and they went, "Oh, have you seen all these flying hive tyrants?
I think these blood angels are broken."
Yeah, and then
I know we shouldn't have told
they then took a little bit longer to put out the big FAQ. Do you think these army lists and them being so, because wasn't second place also a similar army list?
And third place.
I thought third place was an Eldari list.
No, so we had number 1, the top 3 were all Catachan jungle fighters.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, so do you think that means that Games Workshop are going to go and approach this and look at it as do you think that they're only going to see the command farm thing, which is, and they're going to approach that as an issue?
I definitely think they'll look at it, but what they do about it and whether or not it'll be effective, I reserve judgment on that.
Yeah, because what they did with deep striking was not That was the opposite of what they should have done.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It was like, yeah, we're nerfing Dark Reapers. Oh, Dark Reapers are better now. Oh.
Do you think what they'll do is they'll go, right, okay, so people are getting command points back. That's bad. What if we just make them like economies? What if we just inflation it? So what if we just double how many command points you get for each type of detachment? Yeah, and therefore command point farm you won't really care about because you have so many command points. It doesn't matter.
And then we'll make every strategy in one command point.
Well, that wouldn't work because what you have is you have 3 books, all of which are using a lot of stratagems, right? So the Knights using stratagems, you've got the Blood Angels captains that are using a lot of stratagems, and you've got the Guard that are using stratagems as well. Mm. So now that just pushed it into a realm where books that like to spend a lot of command points are stronger than books that don't.
Well, in my opinion, and I said this at the top of the 40k show that we did, 10 months ago or so, and it has been my constant conversation about command points, is that it's, and it goes on to things like chapter tactics. Like chapter tactics are free, Craft World, kind of like which Craft World you're from, are free. Some are just better, but the cost of both is always the same. Mm-hmm. There's no cost. So, to take a Latok as an example, it's just considerably better than some of the other things like Styges 8 for Mechanicum or Mars, are just comfortably better, even though Mechanicum obviously suck. But and Mechanicum players, by the way, I love Mechanicum.
Played Mechanicum at ETC.
Yeah,
I played Mechanicum at ETC technically.
Sucked a bit though, right? Didn't they?
Yeah. The terrain didn't help.
But my point is, I think with command points, like you would expect all stratagems to be equal, and things like Vect being a stark example, they aren't.
Well, this is the thing. So if you double the number of command points that you're using, so what you've got is you start with Drukhari that are on 9, so then they go up to 18, then you get you spend 1 to get D3, so you could get up to 20 command points. That's six Vects.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying that that's what they will do. I was joking.
I know, but I don't want them listening to the show thinking, hey, that's a good idea, and stealing it. Because that's horrendous. Don't do that.
They've already stopped. As soon as I suggested it, they just turned the show off and they went,
He sold it, boys!
He's cracked it, lads!
Cracked it!
I'm gonna play competitive StarCraft or something. Yeah, that's not
well, it's easy to stream. And Andy Dunn's just put noted. He's going in the office for that tomorrow. Did we start an hour ago or 10 minutes ago? We started an hour ago, Zyko. That helps you out. So, talking about the Nova Open and the list being similar, maybe that means Games Workshop are going to do something about those things. But I think the problem is they're going to, in my opinion, miss the glaring problems, I think, with Drukhari and potentially Eldari. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, again, the Americans are just not showing us the issue. But my question is, what do you guys think of the coverage that was done this weekend?
I didn't see much. I only saw the first couple of turns of the first round of the Invitational. Mm-hmm. But I was really enjoying it personally. Mm-hmm. Also because my boy was on the stream.
Who was on?
Nick Rose.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Zyko, thanks for subscribing.
He's an old Welsh mercenary.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was on the stream. I was enjoying the first couple of hours.
Nikos, did you happen to catch any of it?
I only watched a little bit of it. So I tuned in for the start of the final. But then I can't bother. I was doing something else.
You couldn't tell whose models were whose?
I can't. No. Yeah. Well, some of them look like they were like cultists, but they looked like they were using Zangors, so it was a bit confusing.
The Americans were using Zangors forever. Oh, did they tell you about the Zangors thing of ETC?
No.
The Americans forgot all their Zangors in America.
So they left them?
Yep. So they had to go and find someone else to use.
Oh, nice.
After they arrived. So I'm guessing they're just using the Zangors as whatever they can now, just to make it up for it.
Go on, Nick, you were saying?
I tuned in for a little bit. Only like, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. But I think my problem with watching like the Warhammer live stream is often with the commentators talking about the game, they don't focus on the game enough for me. They often go on talk about other random stuff, nothing to do with the game. I'm like, I want to hear what's going on the table, what's happening.
Right.
Because I'm just basically watching a top-down view of a game, and then there's 2 other people talking over it about something else. And also, what annoyed me is I was spamming the Roblin emote like crazy, and they didn't even mention it at all.
That's probably why.
Do you mean it kind of sounds like cricket commentary? where there's so little going on. But and it takes so long, like a test match takes ages.
Yeah, and that's not a criticism of the commentators. Yeah. I understand that it would be difficult. I'm not saying
totally.
I understand the difficulty.
Okay, we have Mike.
Keep going.
And I think I always prefer games when you can hear the players or the commentators have more access to what the players are doing because like I'm just thinking about when I watched my game back that I played on Warhammer Live, the commentators could only guess at what my intent was.
Yeah.
So they saw me do a thing and they go, "Oh, I know what he's doing here. He's doing this."
Was it when you walked your Bloodletters forward and they thought, "Yeah, he's going to charge Bloodletters into the Knights"?
Yeah.
I muted it, but I could have guessed. That was what was going on.
They were like, I think he's doing this because he wants to achieve that and he's going to do that, and it was just like it was way off what I was actually doing. So I think it's more better if you're going to watch a game of Warhammer. If you're going to learn stuff from it, you kind of want to know exactly what the players are intending as they're doing it, I think.
So let me approach that in a second. FAQs, according to Zen Minis, FAQs don't seem to be used for balance, only to change what is good, so you have to buy different models. Aceface says it was no old Warhammer TV, right? ? Hoping that I'll fall into a vainglorious trap there. And Matt Lloyd says maybe we have the CP refund used once a turn, so you have to be tactical about when to roll for a possible refund. Zyko says way too much random stuff instead of play by play. 100% agreed. LLV says we raided them, which is fun. And then finally, I'd like to see some commentators like LAG TV, where one of the commentators is a top level player and the other one is comic relief. So yes, it's a bit difficult. I don't know if you guys can be asked to listen to this because it's not really on the subject. It's something that's dear to my heart, coverage of Warhammer tournaments live, and I assume you guys know that by now. But there are ways to do it much better, but I saw the coverage this weekend as nothing but inspirational for me. Not that those guys were inspirational, because I don't think that they lacked anything. I think they lacked a structure to what they were doing. If I said to you two, "Hey, I'm going to play a game of 40k, sit and be commentators," I think you'd do just as good a job. Yeah, that's not meant to be insulting to either of those two gents, and it's not meant to be complimentary to either of you two, because you have to go into it with a plan, right? You have to know. I don't know. Do you guys want to hear this, or
no?
I don't know, because honestly, because we can just fucking move on, because I don't think
I want to hear about this because this sounds interesting.
Do you think?
Yeah.
You think? Okay. So obviously I set up Warhammer Live and the tournament coverage that you would have seen at the weekend. It's my process, but when we got a manager who took over, he deleted some of that process, and the most important part of that is taking information from the table. Now, lots of people, when we did the show, or when we did it live, people would always ask for a dice tray and a dice cam, because you'd want to know what's happening right there and then. But that deletes the purpose of the commentators. So you might as well mic up the players, but you can't mic up the players because the difference between the players is always going to be vast. Yeah, some might be really uncommunicative, so it might be a really interesting game, but two uncommunicative players that you're having to listen to.
Or they swear a lot.
Or swear a lot, or, argue or bicker or a bunch of different things, right? Mm-hmm. So you have some, you've got some real tense, a problematic game to cover live. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's also, this is the two systems I compare it to. It's like watching golf. Yeah. But the actual action, like how much you two are thinking, yeah, you've all played a game of Warhammer. How much you're thinking for the whole 2.5 hours, right? Like rapid fire, processing, making decisions and thoughts. So the job of the commentators should be to suppose and create drama during the game, and not to be relevant to the game. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As an example, if Tom was playing with like Dark Reapers, the job of the commentator should be like, Dark Reapers, that's an important unit. They need to be got at. Can they bring down the Night Castellan? Will the Blood Angels captains get to them? Etc. etc. So the game that you're watching as it's happening, are we seeing the Blood Angels captain moving towards the unit? Are we not? Like, that's their job. And it should be a really good analyst's job to guess what someone should do. So it's kind of like, if I deployed an army and you deployed an army, Tom, I'd ask you to walk over and I'd say, what do you think is going to happen in this game? You'd be like, well, that needs to happen and this needs to happen in order to win.
Yeah.
That's the premise. And then what should happen, the story of whether or not that unfolds over the course of the game needs to happen. Mm-hmm. Because there's no way you can relate the information fast enough. Mm-hmm. If you're like, I'm shooting my Dark Reapers now, You just might as well have someone stood at the table shooting his Dark Reapers now. There's 3 4s, there's 2 7s, not 7s. There's 2 6s. Otherwise you're just repeating and it's not interesting. Yeah. To some people that might be interesting, but I think to others it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's more about telling a story, right?
It is, but at the same time, a tactical story going in. And then the job for the commentators is to be high-minded enough to know that they're wrong.
But that doesn't necessarily even mean that that always happens. For example, if you have like Jeff commentating something, and Jeff says, okay, this is how the matchup goes. This player does this player does this, and eventually this player will kind of win via this, yes?
Yes.
What if that player A makes a mistake, and then player B can punish, and suddenly it's an entirely different game?
Exactly, but then because you've set up the premise of how it should go, either one or two things wrong. Either they don't do the thing and they've made mistakes, or they do something different and they're a tactical genius and you're excited about the fact that you're wrong. But you need a linear course of conversation that the audience can listen to as... Jethro for 7, 2 7s, I know. You need a linear course of the conversation and you need to identify threats and choke points and a bunch of other stuff. Pre-game.
Identify key points.
Kind of like, I'm just thinking about, as you're talking about that, like football commentary, like I was just thinking like cup games when there's like a big team against a little team. The story before the game, the analysis is the big team's going to smash the little team because they've got better players, and the little team's going to defend their hearts out and sit on the edge of the box.
So Newcastle versus anyone?
Yes. But then, if there's an upset, like they might get a breakaway goal, and the game changes. So it's like what? So there's the premise of what the story is going to be before the game, and then it changes, and then
there's what's incredible about 40k and about Warhammer generally as a sport, like because I've been past couple of weeks I've been doing lots of research about commentating. So I've been watching professional chess and I've been watching professional poker. Ooh. Yeah, because what's interesting about chess is it's an open game. So in chess, you know what all of my units are. You can see them. You can see my moves. Everything's open. Poker is completely different. It's a closed game. Yeah, so it's about the bluffs and the other things. But what's interesting about 40k or Warhammer as a game is while everything's open, what you're planning to do is closed. Yeah, a bit like chess. So there's more comparison to chess in that case. And then you got that luck element of like Magic when they like draw a great card or something. It's really interesting and is super challenging. And you can't just turn up to the table and just want to talk about a game.
In Magic, do you get to see your opponent's deck list before you start playing?
Huh?
In competitive Magic, do you get to see?
Honestly, don't know. Honestly, don't know that.
Okay,
I don't know that.
Make it a really good comparison because that's kind of it's open, but.
Sorry. So what 40k is like watching golf, but the same amount of action as League of Legends is happening.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's so many interactions or permutations.
Like you can't say, oh, he's killed a minion. Oh, he's killed a minion. Oh, he's killed a minion. You know what I mean?
A cultist died. A cultist died. A cultist died.
So, like, I really think the commentary for Warhammer events is in its infancy, and it hasn't even been approached. So, watching those guys, I thought those guys are probably doing as good a job as I've ever done, in my opinion. That's what I genuinely thought. But it inspired me because I thought, great.
What can I do to improve?
Because I thought someone like Jeff, like, and this is if Jeff listening, like, I think you've done great. Like, this is not meant to be a criticism. It's meant to be. I thought when they hired someone who'd already covered a game professionally, he would bring a bunch of like professional. I was kind of like, I'm a little bit worried. I wonder like how much better this is going to be.
I'm not sure how much freedom do you think he was given?
Well, then there's also that as well because it's done by the company. Like, if something's broke, they're not able to talk about it. You know, like there's a great conversation there about free independent press. But I thought it was interesting. You could tell they got tired by the second and third day. That was hard work, bless them.
Yeah, it must be hard work. It's hard work playing.
Yeah. Well, is there anything you think that you guys would like to see, like as live coverage from a game? I'm fascinated, like what things, and this is to the Twitch chat as well. What you guys think?
Live coverage of a game or live coverage of an event?
Live coverage of the games and event as well.
I haven't really thought about it too much, to be honest. I guess. Maybe.
Oh, really?
I haven't really thought about it too much at all, no. I don't tend to watch much 40k games.
But so there must be a reason for that, because you love 40k.
Yeah.
Right? So there must be like something that's missing as either as information or entertainment that isn't something that's delivering well enough that you're interested in. Someone who's deeply committed to the
Val
game.
did a little bit of a stream of the Capital City Bloodbath that Sky was playing in, and he went up to the final table and he panned around the table just for like 30 seconds and spoke to some people. And then I got him to ask a few questions. And he asked a few questions, and most of Scari's towels were dead. And I just wrote in the chat box, okay, yeah, Scari's won this game. And it looked like it was in the same position as it was when I was on Warhammer TV and had killed pretty much all of Mark's Talos. Yeah. And Warhammer TV was saying, yeah, Tom's smashing Mark. And then I said, yeah, Skyry's won this, because Skyry's playing Dark Eldar.
Yeah.
And then I come back 3 hours later, having not watched any of the stream, oh yeah, Skyry's won it. Because I kind of knew what was going to happen anyway, right? So it's not interesting for me to sit there and just, because the principal entertainment is the game, right?
Yeah.
And just watch something that I know is going to happen.
It's good. It's a good point.
And I like Sky, obviously, he's a friend of mine, but it's just, I know he's going to win it. It's not, there's not really a story for me there between the dynamic between him and his opponent, and there's not really characters for me to get behind or what have you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's won it. Yeah, fine.
So in the chat, Zemini says, Mike like esports, they don't play it live, they would do it after. They pick out interesting snippet to show how the players were thinking, which I think is interesting as well.
Oh, do you mean like mic checks and stuff?
Yeah. And I agree, but it does sometimes leave an sad face if only he knew. I think he's talking about, like, supposing he's going to win. Bobo game where the players forgot their objectives, as an example. Nathan identified what should be happening, but the players were clueless. That should happen less. Mm-hmm. That's like covering a beginner's game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're covering the top game at the last round of the tournament, it's not really a beginner's game, it's just very methodical.
Well, sometimes it is a beginner's game.
Well, yeah.
Like,
depends on the tournament.
Yeah, it depends on the tournament. It depends on the players as well. And that's what I think.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, yeah. JB said there needs to be a story and something to happen within the story to keep it interesting. You don't know your opponent's deck until the top 8 in Magic.
Okay, that's fine.
It's interesting. Walshy should have had someone walk in the room so they could have a chat. A cut to would have been good to get a feel of the tournament as a whole, not just a table. Adi Matt, I think you're spot on, Rob, with a caveat that break to the top table for a player update would be good. So I think that's
thinking that. Like someone like Chukabutti at Bobo, like he was doing it around the whole table. So maybe like a reporter on the table just goes and maybe interrupts the players as long as they're okay with that during the game, just to say like after the first 2 rounds or whatever, like how's it going.
It might even be worth then. Not only do you have kind of a roving reporter, you also have one guy on standby who isn't even in front of the camera and is literally just facilitating it. So he's going, excuse me, would you mind us coming around in about 5 or 10 minutes and talking to you about your game?
But is that something you want to see as a viewer?
Well, if you're covering the event, yes.
Yeah.
Because it's not just 3 hours if he moved his model 6 inches towards the relic in the centre of the board and he picked up the relic and now he's running away. You're actually covering the event. Like, you get breaks in between it, right?
Yeah, I think
3 hours of. Bleh.
Yeah, Morgan Sourcemasher has made a really good point here. Jade Booth Studio says, going on from Tom's point, you also want to watch commentaries for the commentators, characters, and how much passion they put into the cast, which I think also is a key element as well. And rotating commentators, a bunch of interesting things. Morgan Sourcemasher says, I quite like a 5-minute halftime after round 2 and 2 quick chats with the players about it, which I think is something definitely that's feasible. But you have to do things like ban players from using their phones.
Yes.
Yeah, they can't use their phones for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And then Dudade says, how do you think it's going? Would be good. And then Matty Jim Bob Jr. says, and also Matty Jim Bob Jr., by the way, one of the best wood carvers I've ever met in my life. Doesn't he make wood sculptures of pelicans?
Could he make an excellent wood spoon?
He's good with his hands on wood.
Yeah, good with his hands on wood, yeah. Can he make a wooden spoon?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Can he make a really intricate one?
Yeah, he owns several.
Yeah.
He says, get girls in bikinis on turn cards between rounds, obviously.
We're not knights at the game table.
Oh, there we go, Tom's on.
I was about to use an expletive, but I managed to hold myself.
I think
something off.
I think fatigue was a big issue, the amount of games and the same guard knights, BA list over and over. It felt like they ran out of ways to try and make it interesting. And again, that comes down to the programming of not the commentators, like the whole production. The programmer needs to be like, okay, like meta guessing. Yeah, what will we see a lot of? We're probably going to see some Knight Castellans. But round 1, more than likely, we're not going to see Necrons after round 1. Yeah.
Unless we've got faults. Then maybe we see it round 2.
Let's stick them on for round 1.
Yeah. I think banning phones at the table is probably a good idea anyway. I think banning phones at the table is probably a good idea anyway.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. I
agree.
Because you would be
some physical copy box or something.
Well, so you would be. I got a great question for you. You'd be annoyed if someone's friends came over and started giving them advice, right?
Yeah, it's like when you came and watched. Like did you come up to your game as well and say hi? I came up to your game and said hi, didn't I?
Yeah.
Like if I came up to your game in the middle and started shouting, "Hey Nikos, go and punch his knight in the face," would that have been helpful?
No.
Or would it have probably just put you in the shit? Oops. Put you in the dirt because it looks like I'm helping you win.
Yeah.
When you didn't actually even need it. It's like when you come off my game, you didn't say anything. That was great because it would have been wrong if you'd have come off and said, "Hey Tom, you should be doing this and this."
Yeah, but like, and I don't think this is something that's ever talked about. It's something I've never done. Yeah, ever.
It did happen once.
I wonder if anyone is like WhatsApping or Facebooking their friends about how do I deal with Talos.
There was a very, very famous incident about that, actually. So that was the LVO in 2016. Alex Harrison versus Alan Bedramovich in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
And I think Alan had his phone out until turn 4.
All right.
Something like that. And I was in the chat with the Dutch captain going mad. Eventually they got his phone off him. But, I don't know.
Yeah. So do you think phones should just be banned on the tabletop?
Yes.
Good. I agree.
I don't think you should be able to connect to the internet on tabletop. So it's difficult when you have your box on your iPad, right? And it's like, well,
they're already pre-downloaded, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the thing. So, but if you've got it on the table because it's got your box on, what'll stop you from turning on, like doing this? No, doing this, and then just tapping the Wi-Fi button, and then you're online.
I agree. John saying, I don't think it's the commentators more on whoever was organising the streams. Management could have been better to produce better content. Zemini's more dynamic objectives would help make games less predictable, like open war cards, but with effort actually putting some balance in them.
It depends, because if it's dynamic and say progressive objectives, so it's like 1 point for each objective you stood on. I don't know if that's what you mean by dynamic, but then it just comes entirely down to board pressure. Yeah. Rather than what turn does it end on?
I personally think that actually, so in Age of Sigmar, as composed to 40k, standard objective placement, in my opinion, is better.
Okay.
And the reason, hi Canhammer Darren. Also, if anyone's interested, the Canhammer guys have done their own Night 80 Mac, sleep well. 80 Mac interestingly sleeps in upside down like a bat.
He does.
Yeah, fascinating.
Like a dragon.
Like a dragon. Yeah. Hello, Chapter Master Valra. What was I saying?
Canhammer guys have done something.
Oh, they've done a live stream. They do battle reports now on their YouTube, so check them out, the Canhammer guys.
Yeah.
But before that, I was saying management could have been better. Games could have been better.
Management could have been better.
Oh, the guys were tired. No, sorry. Fixed objectives.
Yes.
Yeah, the reason fixed objectives is interesting because chess is interesting. Yeah, and I encourage some people to go and watch some top tier chess because I was watching some with Michelson or whatever his name was, some dude. Like I was watching speed chess anyway. Yeah, and it was really interesting watching them play on YouTube. But also, most importantly, the board never changes. It's never different. There's no story behind the units. Like they've got little to talk.
No mystical terrain, anything.
They've got nothing, right? Yeah, but it's still fascinating. I found it fascinating to watch, right? Whereas golf bores me to tears.
Yeah.
Because there's brain power, there's tactics and there's thoughts and things happening. But standardized objectives I really like because it tells you a story. It's like, okay, like if you can potentially rack up 12 points by turn 3 by grabbing all the objectives, or like grabbing the 2 center objectives because it gets you X amount of points in the first couple of turns and holding on to them.
Yeah.
You know, you've created drama.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's drama that you can replicate. So the commentators don't also have to be guessing about objective placement and other stuff. There's strategies around the objectives that are always placed in X. I think I prefer standardized objectives, but that's a personal opinion, and I don't know. I definitely from covering games. I don't know what you got. Would you guys prefer standard objectives in a game?
I would prefer 40k missions to be more like the Age of Sigmar ones. Yes.
I honestly don't mind about the fixed objectives because it's just one of those things.
I just think it makes setting up the game quicker, much easier.
I agree.
Rather than have to go through that whole palaver of placing objectives, and so everyone just goes, in the corner, whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's just like, place an objective on one side, then the other player just sticks 3 around it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there you go. That's a night player.
Yeah. Right. Okay. ITC basically does fixed objectives to symbol, which I think is fair. Morgan Sasha agreed. I prefer to watch standardized objectives. Age of Sigmar is more fun to watch than 40k, and I have to agree with that. But then there's a good conversation: is that because shooting is more prevalent in one and combat's more engaging in the other, and that looks cooler on the tabletop? That's a great question.
Yeah, it probably does. Yeah, definitely from a top-down point of view, because it's just like 2 armies just sat on the other side of the board, not moving. Whereas combat, there's actual movement happening. You can see the game change. Rather, like if you did a time lapse of a 40k game, you'd probably be like 2 armies stood still and then slowly disappearing. Whereas
like erosion.
Yeah. But then they'd be changing places and moving around.
Misa Morin, I don't feel so good as all the models.
Yeah.
Half the army.
All right, those are great points, and I think thanks for letting me explore that, because it was something I'm super excited about, because I didn't see the coverage at the weekend as being poor in no way. I see it as good as being any coverage that's ever happened before. That's meant to be a compliment. It's just you see the guys got super tired. I mean, what are they doing? They did like 2 12-hour days, and then they did Saturday and Sunday. And I imagine a lot of people would have tuned in on the Saturday and Sunday to watch, and they had huge numbers watching. So
yeah, and the biggest game is the final, and you've got it. That's the last one you're doing.
That's
isn't
the last
it?
one you're doing. So you've got to be like
rest your casters.
Yeah,
or do a TriCast.
And again, that's on management, and that's on a bunch of other stuff as
well. TriCast for the final.
Yeah.
There you
go. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I just thought it was an interesting conversation to be, because obviously, like, it's a big push that they did. They featured it on the front of the community site. They worked really hard on pushing it, and I was wondering if it was as much of a shake-up compared to the other coverage that they've done, that it was worth that level of investment of talking about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely better having people who knew what the game was to people who knew about the game. That's better than the coverage they've had before.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Good. All right. Right. So, next part of the show. You guys got anything you want to add? We've done news. I think that's all the news. I know it was a huge section on the news.
I think we'll leave that.
But there's loads to talk about. Anything else come up?
I think we'll probably leave the... do you want to leave the bit that I was going to do?
Oh, what was the... We'll take a vote from the chat. What was the bit you wanted to do, Tom?
It was the Mordian Glory stuff.
The Mordian Glory. Some gossip.
Yeah.
Somebody was a very naughty boy.
Someone was a very naughty boy. Do you want me to cover the naughty boys, or do you want me to do it on the Discord later?
No, fuck it. Let's go. I'm excited. Why is it of interest to you, Tom? Honestly, why is it something you want to talk about?
Well, there's a player who's been on the scene for a while, and he's basically been called out by another player. So this guy.
Hold on, someone's asking, is this about your most recent date?
No.
Okay, then move on.
Leave it alive. All right. So,
Haywo's in the chat. Loves gossip, by the way.
I bet he does.
Yeah.
Essentially, so Mordian Glory was playing at a tournament in Liverpool. I forgot what it was.
This is a person.
Yes.
A person is called Mordian Glory.
It's not his name. It's the name of his YouTube channel. I recommend you go and check it out.
Right. Okay. Good. Right.
Very lovely man.
Okay. Juicy drama. Everyone in the chat, by the way, is very excited.
He's been playing Imperial Guard for 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Through the highs and lows, mostly highs, of Imperial Guard.
Okay.
He's been slogging his way through, and he went to an ITC event over in Liverpool at the Critical Hit Games ITC Grand Tournament.
This weekend?
This weekend.
So this isn't Nova Gossip?
This isn't Nova Gossip.
Woohoo! Okay.
So,
boot it up.
So, essentially, he played against a guy called Will in the 4th round.
Yeah. Will.
And Will's quite a... he's a character on the Independent 40k.
So Mordian Glory is our protagonist. Thanks.
Mordian Glory, and then he was playing against a guy called Will in the 4th round.
Will is Will our bad guy?
Yeah.
Enter Will, the damned.
I'm trying to keep it political. Fuck it, let's just go in.
Well, I'm trying to make it dramatic.
This is the honest wargamer.
Let's go. There's no bars.
No holds barred.
No one shine calling us a pair of dicks. Yeah. So
I am just reporting the news.
Okay, the news.
The news. Right. Will has in the past. Thank you. No, I've got an iPad. It's fine. Ready?
Okay, good.
In the past, Will has been accused of things like winning his own ITC events and adding players to his events in order to get more ITC points from winning those events.
Ow! He's been accused of it.
He's been accused.
Was he found guilty?
Was
I don't know.
involved?
It's just been whispered.
Question: when someone accuses someone of this, to which court do we take them?
We don't. It's 40k. No one cares. we should.
There should be a court.
There should be a court. So basically, he ended up posting a YouTube video, which is 30 minutes long, which you can go and watch.
So our protagonist.
Our protagonist.
The good guy.
Mordian Glory.
Yeah, who is a lovely man.
Yeah.
He posted a YouTube video about it. He posted on both 40k subreddits, so Warhammer 40k and competitive Warhammer.
This is the kind of rage that only comes from being truly fucked off.
And it was like he noted 6 main points. So he was.
Before we go any further, have you ever heard that really good advice where it's there's a couple of things that people say, like if you're super mad, you should do one of two things. You should take a day, or you should take like a few hours to see if you're still mad about it, and if so, then do something about it, or
Well, this was the thing.
Sexualise yourself.
This is all posted on my Monday.
So he's taken time.
He's taken the night.
And he hasn't calmed down.
Slept on it.
He
slept on it.
Down.
Okay.
And he's put up 6 main accusations, mainly about things like Will saying that seeker missiles are AP -4. He says, "Are you sure? Can you go and double check?" He says they're AP -4, and he's playing Lehman Russes, by the way.
Right.
And they're not for AP -2. Things like him saying that his burst cannon were AP -2, but not an AP -1, and because he's Mordian, he ignores AP -1. And so there were 6 main points. Saying long.
So our bad guy Will was playing Tau.
Yes, these Tau players.
I mean,
it's one of them.
I mean, that was obvious, wasn't it? Really, from the beginning.
Saying Longstrike has 14 wounds after Will inflicts 13 wounds on him. When Longstrike has 13 wounds.
Wow.
And things like this. Effectively, he was going through there. He posted, and then Will responded in the YouTube comments. I wasn't a massive fan of Will's responses. There are a lot of them. If anyone wants, I have all the screenshots. Okay. I have 200.
Okay, so what do you mean by the response? So our protagonist listed all of the issues that he had with playing Will.
Yeah, Will then came through point by point, and it was like things like, first off, I'm sorry that you feel aggrieved, and then he goes for honestly, I don't cheat, and then it was just him going through all the grievances, and basically say he was trying to defend himself.
So what was his excuse for getting his army stats wrong?
Things like, it was my first time using Tiger Sharks and what have you. Now, this is one of the funnier ones, because he accused Alex Harrison of stealing the Tiger Shark list.
Right, so he's used them before?
Yes, but he also said this was his first time using Tiger Sharks.
Right. Okay.
So, one of these things is not true. I know for a fact that Alex didn't steal the Tiger Shark list. But it's the fact that he's lying about it. So obviously it's circumstantial evidence. Well, a lot of it is until he starts personally insulting people.
Which is what Will has done.
He may have gone in a few times. Yeah.
Okay.
Specifically on Mordian Glory.
Okay, and we generally think Mordian Glory is a nice fellow.
He's a stand-up guy.
All right, great.
Guy. Yeah. So he called him like a coward and a small man, and basically, as I say, I have 200 screenshots.
Wow.
A lot of these comments have since been deleted after Will took the night to think about it.
So he did calm down.
He did, but it's just it's about what you do. So he did things like lying about saying, Tim's being banned from last critical hits events, but at the same time they were talking to the tournament organisers and saying, no, we haven't banned him at all. It's like, why would you ban someone for calling out cheating?
Yeah.
And Will's been a bit of a controversial figure on the scene for a while now.
Yeah.
And
so again, something to stress if you're listening to this podcast and all shows is that people like this are very rare.
They are very rare.
Which is why it stands out so much.
Yeah, and it's really sad because, like, here's a good example. So Josh Death, who's a USA player over in the USA, does a lot of ITC events.
Yeah,
had a bit of a reputation for not being the greatest opponent, or have you?
Right.
He has spent a lot of time over the last couple of years really trying to improve his image and how people perceive him as a player
and how he plays.
He's done a fantastic job. I would love to play against Joshua Death now.
Yeah.
So when I go over to America next year, I'd really like to play against him. He seems like a really, really nice guy. Will, it's difficult to see how much lower he can go at this point, because not only is behaviour bad, he had a reputation beforehand, and his reaction was just awful. He can come back if he wants to. He could really put an effort in, really improve his image, hold his hands up and say, look, I'm sorry, I've made some mistakes. I'm going to work on improving myself now.
Which everyone would want, right?
Which I would love.
Because we've got a great community.
Because we don't want to be a community. We don't want people to feel like as soon as we've called you out on something, it's just like, you've been excommunicated from 40k. It's not like that. It's all our hobbies, right?
Yeah, but also at the same time, if you're a dick, you should be called a dick.
Exactly, which is why
you wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, and he can reform himself.
Yeah.
Like,
would you say that we are going to give him the title that we give everyone in 40k who we think is not performing to the standard that we think is fair, which is that of a flaming cockwomble?
I think his current actions would necessitate that label, yes.
Well, that's it. Nikos, thoughts?
Yeah, he's clearly competing with Tony G for the title, isn't he?
No, I think Tony G's got like top tier cockwomble status.
Okay.
He's the king of the wombles.
Do you want me to send you a folder full of screenshots?
No, I don't give a fuck. I think I'll be honest. If there's this Mordian Glory guy, and everyone says he's great, and that's because you are a repository of everyone's opinion of you. Like people who keep playing games and when someone, especially when someone's very public, like in the YouTube community or a content creator, if you're a knob, like it will quickly get around.
Yeah, I mean, salute Morty and Glory for standing up and going public with all of this. Really, really well done. I would recommend everyone goes and checks out his video. I think it's called Calling Out a Cheater. Yeah. And it's one of his most recent ones. It's got a few thousand views in it now.
Oh, nice. Wargame will retweet it.
We also ended up on our subreddit drama on Reddit.
What? It ended up as Reddit?
At the top of our subreddit drama, which is a big subreddit about other drama on Reddit.
Oh, nice! Oh, nice! 40k made it to the top of other drama.
We've done it about twice.
Oh, the video's been deleted.
Has it? Okay, never mind.
Well, guess what isn't going to be deleted? This video.
I watched it and I thought, from what he was describing, I think... obviously, he was hard done by Will cheating, but I think we had a bit of a discussion in Discord about it. Like, if the first incident happens where he says, "Oh, it's AP4," are you sure? And he doesn't really check. I don't think in the video he said he checked. He said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure."
Yeah, he checked it.
It's 4
because Will didn't have his book.
So he looked at his book and went, "Yes, it's AP4."
Will didn't have a book. So he borrowed one from the next table across, looked at it, and told Will.
She's already
I would just say, if you're in that situation, you're concerned that someone might be cheating. Just say, I don't think it's outrageous to say, "Do you mind if I have a look?"
But he had no idea. You have to take people at face value.
I don't think you have to.
I don't think you have to.
You don't have to. You're more like.
So the first thing you have to check.
Well, I don't think you even have to say, "Oh, I think you're lying. I want you to prove it to me." If you just say, "Oh, do you mind if I have a look at the book?"
This works really well into our next section. So no, I agree. I think that there's nothing like. I mean, someone was. Well, actually, it goes on to a huge part of some of the other bits that I want to be talking about over the next few weeks, which is going on to the workbook that I talked about a little bit on Tuesday and. Game prep and about going from scrub to hero and being a better gamer in both 40k and Age of Sigmar. Yeah, which is one of the
Seal
things.
To clubber.
Huh?
Seal to clubber.
A seal clubber instead of a seal. And getting basic rules wrong in any fashion, makes you a beginner. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just a flat. That's the description. You're a beginner. You can be also a cheater. Right. And someone who's been playing for 15 years or 2 years, it doesn't matter. You know, they could either be a beginner or a cheater or just an advanced player. But asking someone, "Do you mind if I see your rules?" is never an issue.
No,
I don't think.
I think as long as you do it politely.
I think the preparation should be twofold. One, your preparation of your army should be so intense that if someone asks you a question, you should be like, "Yeah, of course, there you go." Right? And also, I know all my stats, so there's never a mistake. When someone says, "I only played, that's the first time I used that unit, so I made a mistake," you should go, "Well, then you forfeit the game, because it shouldn't be the first time you use that unit." Because I'm putting you in jeopardy, Tom. If I turn up with an army I haven't used before, I'm putting the validity of the game at jeopardy. The idea that I know all of my rules and it's the dice that are deciding, and you know all your rules, I'm putting it at stake.
Well, this is also the thing. So that was game 4 of the event. So you've played at least 3 games with it.
Yeah.
Have you been getting them wrong the entire tournament? Just nah, mate, not standing for that.
Yeah, it's not on, is it?
Nah, not really.
Valladium, who is a treasure in our chat, has just messaged me.
You had a nice reaction.
You what?
You had a nice reaction.
He messaged me a picture of him in a Cockwomble t-shirt.
There you go. Can we sell those?
I think we should potentially
send
sell
it as
those.
a gift.
Maybe that should be something
Flaming
that they give out.
It's like a 3-headed dragon.
Maybe it should be something that they give out at tournaments. Be like, "I'm afraid you've got a yellow card, so you now have to wear the Cockwomble t-shirt for the day." Or at least the Cockwomble sash.
There you go.
No, it should be like one of those like a reindeer antler thing.
Just full of penises.
With a Cockwomble. Just a little.
Here's the thing, though. If you make people wear a sash, people will wear the sash and nothing else in the 40k community.
What?
If you make people wear a sash, people will just wear the sash and nothing else.
Okay, I'd rather avoid that if that's alright.
I don't think that's... Also, please come to tournaments, and people aren't like that. No.
What are you pointing at me? What have I done? Alright, nice segue.
One problem is that it's hard to distinguish between honest mistake man from cheating on purpose with effusive apology prepared if called out. So I did do a little bit on this show, for the Age of Sigmar show a few weeks ago, and this is something important to note. The honest mistake man is something created by Games Workshop so that you, Tom, can buy one army A month later, can buy another army and can play with it. Because honest mistakes are okay because it's complicated and you just first time you've used this army. Yeah? Who benefits from that? Games Workshop. Yeah? Who doesn't benefit from that? Every other gamer. Yeah? If you haven't learned the rules for your army, like going to a tournament and being like, I made an honest mistake. I didn't know that they were toughness 3, strength 3. Like if you can't learn, yeah, you're making mistakes.
And most of my honest mistakes are just hamstringing myself.
Right? Symbol says Rob setting a silly standard. I don't think that's true. I don't think like knowing the rules for your singular army, and if you were
particularly at a tournament,
if you haven't played several practice games, or if you haven't like, I give you a good example, finishing a game, Tom. Yeah, slow play, and the idea that people can finish a game. If you can't finish the time allotted to half a game for you and your army, yeah, whose fault is that? It's yours. You should learn to play faster. You should play a smaller army.
Yeah. Like I played a practice game for the tournament against the weekends, and my friend Paul, he said to me in his first team, he said, I'm trying to play as fast as I can to practice for the tournament.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to he doesn't want to not finish a game. Yeah, so we were constantly practicing playing fast.
Yeah, and Matt Lloyd says, at the very least, bring the codex to the tournament. And I mean, you probably won't be using most of a codex anyway.
Yeah, Davies. I'll tell you later. Actually,
yeah, like you probably aren't. You're probably just like you using a few units. They do Games Workshop sell those codex cards. You know, they have them, so they're very applicable and very useful. You can be like, there you go. There's your opponent could be looking at it while you're moving your units. Like a bunch of stuff. There's loads.
And then you moved him a little bit too far.
What was
the opponent's looking at the book?
What was going through that guy's head?
That's what he said.
To think, I'm going to go to a tournament with an army I've not used before and not bring a codex.
There was another thing.
What was going through his head?
So one of his responses was one of Modern Glory's problems was that he put his and the velocity of the infantry squad objective says, okay, am I holding that objective?
Yeah.
And Will says yes.
Yeah.
Then we roll, the game ends, and then Modern Glory says, okay, I hold that objective at the end of the turn, right? And then Will goes, no, picks up the ruin, and there's a tile fire warrior behind it.
Yeah.
And
that's just out and out cheating, though.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. So what Will said was, sorry, he said, no, sorry, you asked if you're on the objective. I never said you were holding it. That's called tactics. Is what he said. It's called tactics. Is what he said. I have the screenshot.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't think that I've made an honest mistake. And this is from me. I like to think of myself as a fairly fair gamer. Like if someone goes, I forgot my psychic phase, well, that was fine. Go back and do that. Yeah, like I'm comfortable in that. But also, if someone was to say to me, I'm like, I forgot my psychic phase, but like, okay, well, like you've moved on to the shooting phase and you've already rolled them, and it's like we're on a clock. I wouldn't mind, I would understand. I'd see where they're at. And making mistakes at a certain point, we have to have a conversation. Do we want people to be able to constantly use I've just made an honest mistake as a line? Yeah. And do we want people to be, well, actually, there's a standard to how well you learn your rules.
Yeah. You have to at least be semi-competent with your rules, otherwise it's not fair on your opponent.
Do you know what I mean? Right, it's kind of like painting your models, right? Like if I turned up with an unpainted army, you'd be like, I'd say functionally it works. What's your problem? Yeah, that would be every war game.
Well, you come to my game and say, Tom, your army looks like crap. If
I had an unpainted army, it functionally works the same as a painted army.
Yeah, it's like Ard Boys from back in the day.
Yeah, there's no difference, right? But it's unacceptable to us as gamers. Mm-hmm. It's unacceptable because, like...
At a tournament.
It's unacceptable to us at a tournament, absolutely. Because you're like, I want to be involved in the game. I want it to look like a game. I want it to look good. That's why the LGT was such a big controversy, because the terrain. Yeah, it's like, and like you said, Tom, it was super functional, but it looked like shit.
It did.
Yeah, and we not only want to play chess or Warhammer, but we want to play it in the setting of our imagination and fun. And you not knowing your rules and is unimmersing me. Me not painting my models is unimmersive.
Well, it also means that you can't really think about what you want to do because you don't know what you're going to be hit with.
And
you're constantly anxious.
And at that point, you're not really playing Warhammer. You're playing your own version of Warhammer. Like,
yeah. House rules.
Yeah, I think my last cannon's AP5. I think. Yeah.
But that said, I don't want like people out there to be discouraged. I don't want people like, actually, Rob's talking about this, and it kind of makes sense, and I don't want to go to a tournament because I don't have the time to practice enough games, or I don't like recalling stats. Yeah, like
you don't need to memorize it. as long as you're prepared with, I've got all my cards and units,
is that key,
and I have the information in front of me to hand.
Or even you can get a WH Smith like for £2, like a pack of cards. Just write all the key things, like this unit.
I'll give you an example. So I went to a Horus Heresy event about 3 years ago, and this is obviously the last edition of 40k. And it was also the Horus Heresy, so it's quite complicated, and there wasn't loads of resource. And I played Mechanicum, which was even a little bit more like out there. So I would take the time to go through my unit entries, and it took me, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours a couple of times in Costa. I really enjoyed the process anyway, but of cracking out the incredibly heavy books and just going, right, so I've got a Triaris armoured conveyor. It's like a steam train for 30k. Yeah, cool. It looks awesome, and it does a particular thing. And because obviously 7th edition was so incredibly convoluted and confusing, it could charge, but like when did it charge and how did it do it? And so when it got to the tabletop, like I would explain what it did because I'd written it down into a crib sheet that took all of the rules and just really narrowed it down to I could explain it. I knew it well enough to explain, and it was really important to my opponents because my army was quite rare or not as common as Space Marines in the Horus Heresy. They could understand it, and they were like, "Okay, cool, thanks very much." And it also meant I was like, "Okay, I can charge an Imperial Knight, and probably I can pen it." Ghost Valley, thanks for subscribing for 3 months. I found that super useful for me being better at the game, but also it meant that my opponents and me played a fairer game. That's something I believe in. And it didn't require me to play a game to do it.
You sped through it, and you had time for a drink afterwards.
Something you could do with like the missus, or your partner. You'd be like, quiz me.
Yeah, so it's like doing revision with your mum.
Yeah.
You give her like your biology textbook, and she's like, right, read things out.
Do you think that's a good date? Get your girlfriend, partner, boyfriend, whoever you might have, and just be like,
being quizzed on all the stats and everything.
Yeah, because surely someone would enjoy at least getting someone else involved in that part of the hobby with you.
Yeah.
They'd hate it. Huh? They'd hate it, but
they'd hate it. Yeah. But also you getting it wrong.
Well, people get involved.
Huh?
Get involved in your hobby. Sorry.
Haywo says often packs require bringing books, which I think is correct, and that should always
all packs require bringing books.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
If he didn't have a book, shouldn't he have not been allowed to play? There's a point where with Tony Grappando at the LVO, though, says El Coopster, and I agree, because I did disagree massively with what Tony did at the LVO, which is a piece of gosh you can listen to before.
We did another show on that.
Yeah, did another show that. According to the internet, Will has played Tau loads in its main army. Being able to play sufficient games between tournaments to get 100% recall of every rule for the army is easier for some than others, and I also agree with that.
That's why you have, if you've not got the greatest memory, you can have
a book
as an external memory aid.
Yeah, and I also talk about unfucking yourself from Games Workshop sales technique, right? I walked into a Games Workshop yesterday and I saw the new Lord of the Rings box, and I was like, I could play Lord of the Rings. And I was like, I had to I was like, no, don't do that. Concentrate on the army that you're trying to play, and only because that's the problem. We flit as a community. That's why I say stick to an army for a year. That's my thoughts. Anyway, we've talked about this enough. Yeah.
Yeah. We ought to sell promise rings, but for different armies. I promise myself to Chaos Dwarves.
So Shining Spears, they've been nerfed. Oh, right. Good.
Promise rings.
Guess I'm stuck with these pile of garbage.
I promise to learn my army to an efficient degree. Maybe it could be like, so in the UK we have this thing called the DVLA, which is like what you go on to learn, and there's an app.
Yeah.
There's an app you can do where you can take questionnaires for your driving license. Yeah? Maybe we could have like a 40k app where it's like, what is the weapon profile of a Tau shark bomber? What is it called? Is it called the shark bomber?
Tiger shark.
Tiger shark. What is the stats? And you have to be able to fill in the questionnaire and have passed it, and then you turn up to the tournament and be like, yes, I've passed the Tau
proficiency test.
And it's like, yes, you're allowed to play Tau now.
Can a tiger shark take an advanced targeting system? Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Problem solved.
I think that would be good.
We've solved it.
We've done about 2 hours on these.
We've solved it. We've talked about loads of cool shit.
We have.
Yeah, whatever.
It's good. It's good.
Vibrating rings for Jesus. Says.
So you can put them on your pen and then just have to go with it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So on to the main topic of the day. main topic. And we're not covering the codex like we did last week with Space Wolves. Although, is there any amendments you'd like to make from the Space Wolves chat we had last week? Any thoughts or ideas?
No, nothing's changed.
No.
Okay, nothing's changed. It's still not very good.
There's some bits in there that are good.
Yeah.
Make drop pods good again.
It's true.
I've already
someone was just
done
going through my bits box earlier on at the back, which is more of a bits cave, and was like, "Why is there a whole drop pod in here?" And I went, "They're not in the game." It's like, "Well, they've got no rules." Like, no,
They suck.
They're good if you drop another plasma in.
Yeah, they are, Nikos. You stick to it.
Yeah, especially if they're big and pointy and in the cabinet behind Rob.
Right, so Honest Wargamer license is obviously coming soon. You're officially allowed to play this army.
And Promise Rings.
Yeah, and Promise Rings.
With Rob's face on.
Ghost Valley says, I have 8 drop pods.
I've got 2.
Thumb down.
I applaud.
All right, so
not selling them.
So the main subject of today is just like a thought exercise, yeah, and something we're going to clarify and we're going to approach a little bit better next week. But it's I want to see what comes to bubbles to the surface without any prep today. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to be talking about is questions that you ask yourself when you arrive at the tabletop to play a game. Now this is in a tournament setting, yeah. And when you're playing your opponent. So what I want to do is I want to get a bunch of questions that we ask ourselves. And then what we're going to do is write them down. Yeah, this, by the way, is at about the 1 hour, 45 minute mark, Nicholas, if any of us are doing this at some point.
1 hour, 45 minutes.
Are we doing timestamps now?
Yeah, timestamp. Because what I want to give to the people listening, or what I'd like the people listening to also throw at us, is questions that they ask as well. And then what we might be able to do is create this kind of condensed knowledge pool. So people, when they turn up to a game and go, oh, I've never asked that question, or that's a sensible question. And obviously, it's geared towards winning the game. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, like, is my opponent blind? Yes. Cool. I can move all my models wherever I like.
I can cheat.
Is my opponent Alex Harrison? They're going to cheat.
They're going to cheat because he's a cockwomble. Because he's a giant cockwomble.
He is a cockwomble. He's also a
yes, he's a cockwomble. Right. Okay. So J-Boo Studio says, question 1: Am I fucked? Question 2: Did I bring my codex?
No, because he doesn't have a codex because he plays Sisters.
So means, do I have my codex? Oh snap! J-Boo Studios, where's my pants? So obviously, fire off, Tom. Questions that you ask. Or should we start with the basics?
I'm going to start with the list I've been running for the last few months because it's pertinent to what I ask when I arrive at the table.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my Dark Reapers, my single squad of Shining Spears, and all that jazz. The one question that's most important is, okay, how do they kill my Dark Reapers, and how can I stop them doing it?
Right, so that's great. So for me, that sounds like if we can generalise that, it's so. And again, this goes back to the conversation we had last week about the lexicon, about like the language that we're going to use in 40k. And your Dark Reapers are your linchpin unit.
My pivot.
Your pivot, linchpin or pivot. They're both words for that, and it's your key unit for controlling and winning the game.
Pretty much, in the vast majority of matchups. Sometimes it switches to the Shining Spears, but not very often.
Right, perfect. So realistically, it's what can my opponent do to kill the unit that I think will win me the game.
Yes.
So I think
it does all the legwork.
Yeah, so that's good. So I think there's a question before that though, when you arrive at the tabletop, and the question is, how do I win this game?
Well, I asked that question before the game as well. I mean, when I'm writing the list, it's okay. I've got my Dark Reapers. How can I protect my Dark Reapers? So it's like, okay, Wave Serpents. Okay, Shining Spears to go and kill that killy thing that kills my Dark Reapers. Okay, Rangers to block people up. It's all of these different things that are built in, but then when I'm playing up against different things, some of those things are more important than others. Okay. So, for example, if I'm playing up against a Tau list, for example, the blocking isn't necessarily as important with the... it's got Storm Surges, for example. Let's take a Hammerhead list or a Storm Surge list. They don't really care about the Rangers very much. The Rangers will be annoying because they're -2 to hit, but the blocking isn't very useful. But they're the Shining Spears really are. So, at the GT Heat 2, I actually move my Shining Spear 66 inches across the board and fail the 2-inch charge into a Storm Surge. But they're there to, even though they didn't charge it and kill it, which I probably should have done, they threatened it. They stood there and was like, okay, well now, do I kill the Reapers, which are way over here, Or do I get rid of these shining spears before I melt my arm?
So it sounds like you're actually asking a lot of questions. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's a question divided down into sub-questions.
Exactly. So, and how do I win is an important point to think. And that's why I think probably the first off is, like, have I brought all of the things that I need for my army? Should be the first question. Like, do I have my codex and other stuff? But I think that's probably another conversation. Yeah. That's prep. But wouldn't the fairest first question be, what is my path to victory?
Right.
And then I think there's a bunch of answers to that, which might be, if we take missions like the ITC, which are mainly objective based. Yeah. A lot of the time, is it killing my opponent's army? Can I kill my opponent's army? And like, is it scoring objectives? Does that make sense?
So it's about build and win conditions. You go.
I think I was just thinking. I think in terms of 40k, from my experience, it's more about killing your opponent in 40k. Whereas AOS, I think in AOS you can not kill your opponent and still win the game by scoring the objectives. Whereas 40k, I've tried to build lists similar to my AOS armies, like my Skink Swarm, but it just doesn't quite work in 40k.
Have you tried Neophil? I don't know what Skink Swarm.
No, it's just lots of cheap bodies that run around and
sounds
hard
like
to catch.
Like
that's more about ambushing, isn't it?
Yeah, but so a good example is Nick Rose's list. So Nick Rose has...
of course, yeah.
100. it's so people can Google it and find it later. So
okay.
It's about like 200 Termagants and Homagants, and then 100, what they call the Neophyte hybrids. And then he has a Broodlord, a Patriarch in there, which makes all the Neophytes fearless. And then he has lots of Synapse, which makes the rest of it fearless. And you've got 300 bodies in your opponent's face, turn one. It's not really bad.
Yeah.
Here's a horde.
I didn't quite go that far horde because I don't think I'd want to push around 300 models on the board. But it would be nice to have. I think my point was, I think AOS you can play the objective game more currently.
Yes.
But 40k, I think you kind of have to focus on killing your opponent, but then also keep your eye on the objectives. But I guess it depends on what format you're playing in. I've played a few ITC games recently, and it is a bit more about the objectives, but still part of the objective points is, have I killed an opponent, killing more, and then still standing on objectives as well.
I do wonder how much of that is a consequence of the heavy presence of VETC on the UKC. Because when we were talking to Ace doing that podcast about ITC and ETC, we were talking about one of the problems of ETC is it encourages very much of a smash mentality in how you build your lists. And a large number of the regular UK tournament players are very interested in ETC, and therefore will build their list to a similar kind of specification. And they're not just going to ETC events, they're going to independent events and ITC events, and all of these lists are just encouraged to smash. I don't know if that kind of has an impact.
And by smash definition, you mean to
win
kill,
really
to kill your opponent's models to win as the path to victory.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of what my conversation is. I'll give you a really good example. Let's say like most of my army has got anti-infantry guns. Yeah, you would say that seems like a mistake if you come up against an all-knight list, and we know there are lots of knights currently in the game. Yeah, you would say that's a list writing problem.
Depends on what there is.
Yeah, but you might say that's a list writing problem as opposed to an on table problem. But either way, the combination is I've ended up on the table against a non-infantry based list and against all knights. So how do I win needs to be the first question, I think, and it needs to be like realistic. Well, I can't kill X, so I still need to try to win, or not lose the worst. And that might be the next question. It's like, okay, how do I win X? Then how do I not lose as badly as I think I could lose?
Like Nurgle armies, for example.
Do you want to explain that?
So you can take a list based heavily on plague bearers and sometimes plague drones, which is designed just not to die. So it just walks into the middle of the board, stands on a bunch of objectives, and goes, "Aha! You're not getting 20 points."
Yes. So their path to victory,
depends how you define victory at that point.
Well, winning the game, isn't it?
Well, it depends. If you are in a game where, let's say you're playing in a team environment, not necessarily ETC, but a team environment, where you need to get your opponent's team has a really scary list and know what to play it. They'll all get nothing out of it. But if you get 5 points, that's good. And when you play against it, and say, right, I don't need to get 5 points, but what if I get 8 points? That is, if they've got 12 and you've got 8, they win the game in a singles environment. But you've got more points than you expected, and that could be considered a victory for your team because you've got more points out of that individual matchup than you expected.
But then how do you go about it's about, I think what Rob's asking is like, yes, that's your win scenario, but how are you going to go about that?
Yes, yeah. That's
killing
fine,
him or objectives.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that needs to be the first question. Like, realistically, if you can just wipe your opponent's army in the first turn, pretty much, then that's clearly your most and also an efficient path to victory as well. But what I mean when you get to the tabletop, kind of carrying on with the conversation from last week, it's like, okay, identify, like, because you might be able to kill half their army, but is the other half actually more dangerous?
Yeah.
You know, identify your course to victory, like, and that needs to be done at the start, right?
What I'm kind of saying, I guess, is what do you define as victory?
Okay, well, in a single, I'm talking about a single.
I think you're jumping straight to ETC again.
Well,
I think let's not think about
as well, because if I'm playing a single event,
should we all assume
it's
singles?
A singles event.
That's fine.
Singles
that's fine.
Yeah.
So winning the game is winning the game.
Okay.
Not getting it. Not getting 8 points.
It still does matter, but there's still a distinction in singles. But like minor victory, major victory.
Well, that's my point as well. Like, do you get to the tabletop? And this is what I mean by path to victory. Do you get to the tabletop and look at the game and go, all right, in my I can only shoot infantry, but I'm fighting knights scenario, can I still claw a minor victory away? Is that possible? Right, realistically, and because my path to victory then is definitely around objectives and other stuff and survival over killing.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what I mean, because some people always just go, well, I can't kill them, so I lose. Right, because that's a very 40k mentality. But that isn't necessarily true, and that's what I'm saying. Like identifying and not giving up hope on that first kind of matchup, because sometimes I know for a fact when I was at the Hellstorm Wargaming event and I played the Drukhari player that I played, I was like, I'm never going to win this game. And again, talking about when you watched that game that was live streamed and you were like, well, this game's over, come back 3 hours later and it is over. You can see how the game's going to progress. But an element of producing the victory has to be
achieved.
Achieving that, but also maybe throwing a spanner into the works, making the opponent, like when Nikos played on the live stream, when it looked like the opponent was doing really well, killing a bunch of his stuff, but actually that was a massive bait. Like losing just before you're about to win, making your opponent make mistakes, a bunch of other stuff. That needs to be a conversation that you have, right? And getting a minor victory is key as well.
Well, even in my game as well, I thought I was going to win. It was like never going to happen. So, I don't know. Anyway, what do you think?
Do you want to see what the chat's saying?
Yeah.
So some questions that people ask before when they turn up to the table is Bob Jr. says, Nick, when does the magic phase come? Question you always ask when you start playing, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure Matt knows how to play Warhammer.
LV says, pre-game question, why do some armies have these nice books and other has crappy printout?
Yeah.
That's a fair one.
Yeah.
JBoo Studio says, what's my opponent's thing? And I think that's a great conversation as well, but we could probably phrase it better. Yeah?
I kind of phrased it when I was thinking about it before, like, how does my opponent's army work? I guess, what's their pivot? Tom would sort of think, I guess.
Yes.
What's their for some reason, I watched the newest RoboCop recently.
Yeah, good. I'm really excited by this.
So in that, sometimes you get a peer view of what he's thinking. He's scanning. At one point, he's standing on a stage and he scans the crowd.
Yeah.
So he's like scanning a civilian. There's a facial recognition of them. Gets loads of information. It says non-threat until he gets to a mass murderer who's on the run, and he's like threat identified and goes and arrests him. So you kind of have to do the same before a game, I guess. You look at your opponent's army, you scan all the units, like, what's a big threat? Oh, there's 10 Reapers, they're going to shoot me to pieces. So they're the big threats. You've got to identify the threats in your opponent's army. But then also, what's going to make them work? Oh, there's 10 Reapers, oh, they've got Uvarain, they're going to shoot twice, and they've got all these other buffs to sack on that unit. Yeah, Doom Farseer and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so identifying their threats and then how you're going to deal with those threats.
Question meant, you could extrapolate that to how does my opponent win?
Yeah, another great question. Because I'll give you an example. I started to go through this process on Friday when I played Age of Sigmar. So what I did was I wrote down my opponent's threats, I wrote down my answers, and then what I tried to do in game with positioning is I tried to make the positioning of the game so that my answers would match their threats. But he had 3 threats and I only really had 2 answers. Yeah.
So you managed to decide which of those threats is the least valuable.
Yes, so like I had to start making a bunch. So like, just like you said, how do I win is such a broad question. You need to start breaking that down.
I even went to everything. What is winning?
Yeah, what is winning? Welcome to
if someone won in the woods on their own, is it actually
welcome to the Greek Pantheon Wargaming. We should be wearing togas.
It sounds like a certain ITC.
Hold on, let me just read out what the chat's saying, and then we'll come back to it. Haywo says that's one of the things I prefer about AOS, having a default best plan or just smashes crap effects. The ideas of competitive play from the ground up and lends itself to spammy cheese. So he's talking about the difference between AC and 40k, and to a degree, there's some fairness in that statement, in my opinion. But we'll talk about that in a bit. Not being able to go kill that Smash Captain because he's just behind a bunch of infantry is a bit annoying.
Yes.
Yeah. Question 1, will I win first turn? That's a great question. 40k. Runebard says, my mate T. Wallace. Tom Wallace? I don't know if you know Tom Wallace. Several things about Tom Wallace. One, he's gorgeous. Number 2, he plays American football, but Virgin American football. Number 3, he's a great graphic designer. Number 4, great dancer. Just, if that's the Tom Wallace I'm thinking about. If it's not.
You know a lot of great dancers.
Well, I also know Chucklebutt TV, who's
Excluding
a terrible dancer.
That just offsets it, so all his talent was spread amongst the stars.
Yeah. He got no stats in dancing. And maybe it's also something only I care about. Like, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dancer, 4 out of 6. Yeah, that's why I rate people out of 6 for dancing. Anyway.
What? So you roll a dice, mate?
No, you got a 1. Yeah, you got the stat of 1 for dancing.
So before they start dancing, you just roll upstairs and max their dance stat for the rest of the evening.
So my mate T. Wallace sets up a friendly tournament of War World in August with ITC match rules, and it definitely helped me make it less about killing only. So taking the focus off killing. And it might be a great question. It might be a good thing that actually 40k is only orientated around killing your opponent, and that's it. Yeah, that's all that matters.
It's the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. There's plenty more where they came from.
Yeah. So then, I think that's what. Oh, wait, is that T. Wallace? Nice. Yeah, and also Chucklebutt, he's shit at dancing. Oh, he's in the room! Oh, for fuck's sake, didn't get the notification that you got boys live. Hope you're all well. Alright, he's just got here. And he's shit at dancing.
You say Chucklebutt, you're shit at dancing 3 times, it summons him.
It summons him into the chat. What did you say? So, how do I win? Yeah, is a great question, because it might not be, probably will be in 40k, but it might not be kill my opponent's stuff. Yeah, the next thing might be identifying their key units. Yeah, their
scan
pins,
for threats.
Yeah, scan for threats like RoboCop. And then also
how to neutralise those threats.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, how to neutralise those threats, but then isn't it also like identify your weaknesses?
Yeah.
You know,
what,
like,
in terms of that particular matchup?
Yeah, in terms of that particular
not
matchup.
Just your army weakness in general.
Well, some have army weaknesses in general, but like let's say there's loads of objectives in the centre of the board, as an example, and your opponent's going to go first, and they only have like mid-range shooting. Why would they, Tom? Great question, but that might. Yeah, right? Knowing that they're going to move into the centre of the board, you can maybe deploy a little bit deeper, right? Does that make sense?
I'm trying to work out how to articulate what I'm about to say. It's just kind of weird. So, you know control decks in like Magic and Hearthstone and things like this?
Yeah.
So you have a very specific win condition. This is how you win the game. Because when you're talking about your weaknesses, and your weakness is just that if your opponent kills you before you can kill them, effectively you lose the game, right?
Yeah.
So the rest of your army is just built around trying to keep your win condition alive, and your opponent's win condition is stopping you from achieving your win condition. That's all it is.
Yes.
And that's similar to a lot of armies in 40k. So I'm going to go back to my list again because it's what I know quite well. So my win condition is my Reapers kill you. If I can keep my Reapers long enough to kill you, I win the game.
Yeah.
But the weakness is if I can't, then I lose. That's all the weakness is.
Yeah.
So I don't. Is that how you would define a weakness? Or is it just that's how it works?
So like your weakness would be like
the lack of strength. That's all it is. It's not. It's just there is no strength there. It's not that it's weak. It's just that there's no strength.
Yes, in that like so yeah, having your strength as in let's pick something that's a little less multi-tool like Dark Reapers. Yeah. So like my Plasma Squad or my Meltagun Squad, as an example, right? Yeah. Is my strength versus killing the Imperial Knight. Problematically, yeah, like it's also my weakness because once it's been removed, so the anti-infantry that my opponent has, yeah, counters my Meltagun Squad, yeah, so I need to get rid of that anti-infantry before it could hurt my multiple squad. Yeah, does that make sense?
Then it becomes, it's not really a strengths versus weaknesses kind of thing. It's more like a hierarchy of threats. And if you can keep the thing at the top of the hierarchy of threats alive for long enough, you can win the game using that. So, like, you've got, let's say my list has a secondary. The second thing on the hierarchy of threats to me is my Shining Spears, but they're not the most important thing. So if I lose those in exchange for keeping the thing at the top, the Reapers alive, that's worth it, right?
Good. Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, what you've done is you've identified a weakness, which is losing those, a weakness in your army. Yeah, that is a pivotal part, and then your opponent is going to try. But then also, what's important is the opponent's path to victory is killing those Reapers.
Their own height, yeah.
So having them as bait somewhere on the board, yeah, like you could potentially put them in a little bit more of a dangerous place than you would want because you want to draw out their threat.
Right, exactly. So if I've got like this thing at the top that's really threatening and then these things at the bottom that aren't very threatening, you could have an opponent that has an MSU army, for example.
Yeah.
And an MSU army look more like this. So the threatening thing is not as threatening as my threatening thing, but the weakest thing isn't as weak. So you'll have a lot of things that are somewhat good, but none of which are as strong as my strongest unit. So if you can remove my strongest unit, suddenly I've got nothing. I'm done.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great. So Elcube says weakness example Nurgle is slow. That's identifying definitely a weakness in that army build.
I think it's not actually that slow.
So Twitch says the missions are not as good in 40k as they are on AOS. They can still opt for taming your opponent as a viable strategy, and I want to touch on that in a second. And then Trickbit says, see, the one solo tourney I've been to, I gave the opponent my army list that I also put the things to look out for on it, stuff like evocators, extra ability, constant source of pride. So yeah, he's talking about letting your opponent know what armies do. So isn't also one of the questions you should have to table say, how do I win this mission, regardless of your opponent's army?
Yeah.
Like, what I'm asking is shouldn't you know the win conditions for the 5 or 6 missions that you're going to play, like the back of your hand? Shouldn't you turn up to whatever the random roll is, game 3, yeah? And let's say it's the Relic, terrible mission, yeah?
It was.
It was. Yeah. And you know how you win the Relic, yeah? This is what I do. I do this, and I do that.
Yeah.
How does my game... So you should have a game plan, right? It shouldn't just be reactive.
Yeah.
And then you turn up to your table, and then your opponent goes, right, actually, I can do that before you, or something else. Shouldn't that be something you plan ahead of time?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, which you can do in your list building process.
You can do it in the list building process, but do you ever do it on the deploying your army process? That's what I'm saying. Like, have I practiced this mission before? Like, should I practice this mission? That's what I'm asking. What do you think?
Definitely practice definitely helps, because you might design your army list and then go and play the mission, think, oh, that's how it's going to work on paper, but then actually in practice it doesn't necessarily work. Yes, if you do that once it doesn't work, it might just be you had a bad game or whatever, but at least you learn some lessons from that game in order to next time you go into the same scenario with the same or tweaked list, you kind of know, oh, that unit wasn't so great at going and holding that objective. Like, when I'm sort of placing objectives for 40k missions, I always, because I'm playing my sort of Marines, I usually put them either next to or in some terrain, because I'll think my most resilient units for holding objectives are my Marines. So I want them in the cover on the objective, so they get a 2-up armor save, and they're usually Alpha Legion, so they're -1 to hit. Whereas other people might prefer to have them out in the open. Not sure why. Who would want an objective out in the open?
So I can shoot people off it.
Yeah, and then
I don't want to stand on it.
And then go later and capture.
It's the thing. I don't practice the missions because my win condition, 90% of the time, is just table them.
Yes, so and there's a great conversation to have whether or not 40k is even a skill-based game. And that's not meant to be offensive.
No, of course not. I understand that.
It's more meant to be like, hello, I've bought the hammer, and someone goes, I've actually bought the bigger hammer. It's like, well, you win, and let's go home. You know, and having the game be beyond a beginner's game is a great conversation. It's not meant to be insulting, and I don't think that I'm an expert 40k player. If anyone out there is like, fucking dick, that's not where I'm at. I'm just more trying to identify it, because once we go through this process, what we might be able to do is make a workbook for people so that it's something they can do. Even casual games, you know, they can turn up and be like, how do I win the game? You know, what's my opponent's threats? You know, etc.
How do I make this an interesting tactical puzzle?
Yeah.
So my question, so how do I win the mission? Surely that's got to be a question.
How do I win the mission? Yes. Yeah.
Or how does my army play this mission normally? And then how's it changing because of my opponent's army?
Yes.
Kill him, Tom.
If they've got no models, if they've got no models left, you win.
Huh?
Forget the mission, just kill them.
But I think sometimes that does change.
Oh yeah, it does.
That does change.
Sometimes
it might change your target priority.
Huh?
Might change your target priority.
Yeah, correct,
I was just thinking about at the Hellstorm event, my game against Ace.
Yeah.
I opted not to shoot at his Riptides, who were going to do a lot of damage to me. I just ignored them basically. Apart from one, I was shooting lots of flak missiles at because that could do reliable damage. But the rest of my firepower was concentrating on killing his infantry because we were playing like a relic mixed with something else. So I was trying to deny Ace as many models as possible that could capture the relic. So yeah.
Well, this is another point. So, for example, flyer lists. Flyers are the scary thing, but if you remove all the ground troops, you win the game. Which is kind of similar to, I guess, what you were doing. You were ignoring the scary thing. You were playing in favour of the objectives. Like, right, I'm not going to be able to kill all the threats that are coming for me. I'm just going to kill the important stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's quite important. Like identifying what your opponent's threats are, and if actually they even are really that threatening to you. You know, I think is an interesting one. It's kind of like having it's the horde idea versus the knights. Like actually, I can sit on loads of objectives with these hordes. Can the knights clear them? That's a great conversation. And so in some cases, no. So I always go and just run on the objectives, no matter what I'm facing.
You've got to kill him now.
Yeah, you got to kill him now. Your turn. So I think that's what, knowing how you play each scenario. Then it comes down to knowing how you deploy. Like, do I know? I suppose this is pre-game. So I'm thinking about this. It's like DeBolt. DeBolt's joined Patreon.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. For $25.
Ooh,
nice.
Which means he gets access to the secret videos.
Is that the tier that unlocks my nudes?
No, it's the tier that unlocks the secret videos and
sorry, I shouldn't have said.
And me over 5 months ago saying, so the best way to play Warhammer 40,000 Army is a Brigade of Astra Militarum from Kachan. And
Night Castellan. Hasn't come out yet.
Night Castellan that's not come out yet.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically. Thanks to Bolt, I appreciate that, baby. He did that because we didn't swear.
Did he?
Yeah, we nailed it. Only while his kid. He actually, a minute ago, said the kid's asleep now, swear as much as you like, but we're sticking to it now.
Yeah.
We're rehab.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Namaste. You also have got big BDE.
Okay.
Big dick energy, we can say it now. That's what it means.
Remember the Big Dick Club.
So what other questions do you ask yourself when you turn up the tabletop? I know, Tom, yours... You see, what's interesting is, Tom, yours seems to be, and it's not meant to be rude.
No, go for it, fire away.
Just seems to be incredibly hyper-focused on, like...
Kill him.
Yeah, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him.
I don't think about this, just kill him.
So I think my next thought is... fucking huge, mate. Isn't the next one about the deployment maps and scenery? Do you ever ask yourself about that?
I do think about that a lot because that has a massive impact on how I defend my Reapers.
Turn thinking about it into questions you ask yourself so that other people can ask themselves that question and then think about it.
Hammer and anvil, or pointy hammer and anvil, that's for short table edges.
Yes.
How far back do I have to deploy my Reapers? Because I've got my 48-inch range.
Yeah.
The 36-inch range is the most important one because you can hide behind the terrain.
Mm-hmm. But
it also means that I'm not going to... There's a big section, 24-inch section of the board that I potentially might not be able to hit if I'm right on the back line, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, I want to push them as far forward as possible without risking them. If that makes sense.
And so do you look for scenery to do that?
No.
Okay.
I mainly use ranges.
Okay.
Scenery's alright, so very specifically where scenery is really useful is against the Drakari matchup.
Yeah. Because
I can stick him in the scenery, jump out of the wave serpent, shoot him and fire and fade back into the terrain, not into the wave serpent. That'd be cheating.
Yeah.
So, because that way when the Ravagers come down, they can't hit me.
Right.
So, most of the time it's just in ranges because you'll have the space to play with back there, but also I don't mind the wave serpents getting hit up. Because I can pretty much guarantee the Reapers are going to get to hit first. Because there's not that much that has a massively long range to be able to get through the 24-inch no man's land and then through the 24-inch deployment zone to hit the Reapers after killing a wave serpent.
Yes.
What has that much in terms of long... Like maybe an army of 8 Hellhounds, but that's about it.
Okay. That's a great question. So when you look at the board, you're looking at the ranges of your. So you ask yourself, at what point can I deploy my unit, but it's still fairly safe to continue?
I've still got tricks to move up the board with Fire and Fade and Soul Burst and Quicken and stuff, but yes.
What do you think, Nick? What questions do you ask yourself?
So I'm coming at it from the point of view of my sort of experience of playing with my Marines and Bloodletters more so. So my previous editions I didn't have like a fire base, but now I've gravitated towards having at least one Havoc squad, maybe a Leviathan, and the list I'm going to take to the next heat is going to have two big Havoc squads. So I've got a fire base which usually has some screens to protect it and characters. So a fire base and then the Bloodletter bomb that goes and gets things and goes and kills things. So when I get to the table, I'm looking for, is that, obviously this is kind of before we know where we're going to deploy, I guess, but I'm looking at the table and thinking, where's a nice bit of terrain where I can sit a lot of power armor? Where's the line of sight blocking terrain that might block vision from that firebase point?
Yeah.
Because if you've got a building in one corner and a massive bit of line of sight blocking in the middle, you're only going to be able to see either side of that line of sight blocking terrain. And then I guess I'm also looking at, so if I go there, my opponent's going to go on the opposite board. What does that give them? And where's a good position for me to attack?
Yes.
I guess once we get to the point where we're choosing sides, if I'm using like my Bloodletters, I want to go and attack something. If I give my opponent a side where they've got a building they can sit in that's really elevated, then my Bloodletters are going to have a much longer charge up there. So I can't get up there.
Okay.
So I'm mainly looking for bases for my Marines.
You're looking for bases for Marines. So would you, like realistically, is there so Tom's measuring ranges, which I find interesting, and isn't bothered about the terrain so much, but you are, because it takes you from a 3-up save to a 2-up save.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, Tom, if there's cover that's appropriate, you also put them in that.
Yeah, if there's like two identical corners where I could, I'm going to form the terrain most likely.
Yeah.
But another one I forgot to mention while I'm there, I've got a stratagem called Phantasm.
Yeah.
So if we're playing in Dawn of War and I'm against a more short range close combat army, let's say the way I build my lists, I have 2 Wave Serpents and 1 character, I believe. So I'll have 3 units deployed.
Yeah.
Phantasm lets me redeploy 3 units. So I've got 3 units there. Then my opponent puts all theirs in the opposite corner if they make a massive mistake. And then I just take my army and go lol and put it in the other corner.
Okay.
So normally people don't do that, they stick it in the middle because they're aware of it, but it's just one of those things.
Ooh. Can
I abuse that mistake? Is there a mistake that... Is there a way I could do this whereby if my opponent makes a mistake, I can punish?
Good. That's probably another question as well.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Ghost Valley says, I always check if there is deployment that is good for me or if there is deployment that is worse for my opponent than side is good for me. I think that's a great conversation. Yeah, I think so. That's another. So looking at the deployment maps and also looking at the terrain, if I was playing Nikos with lots of power armor, like let's say a Blood Angels, Hellblaster Gunline, not Blood Angels, sorry, Dark Angels. Yeah, basically the same, right? Oh my god! Except 1,000 viewers leave the stream. Yeah. You're going to want cover. You're going to want to turn those Hellblasters from 3-ups to 2-ups, right? But one side is heavy cover, one side's not. I should probably take that heavy cover. Same way with the other way. When I had a lot of Dragoons from my Mechanicum army, I wanted the side that was quite heavy with cover because I wanted when I went to charge my opponent, I wanted there to be a lot of board space that my army could crowd around. So I took the cover, even though I wasn't planning on sitting it, but I wanted to deny my opponent the cover.
Give him the empty side.
Yeah, I wanted to give him the empty side.
One very quick point I want to make.
Even Gozzy.
I don't even tend to look at the cover in my own deployment zone. I look at the cover in the no man's land. So a lot of boards that you'll play on will have a line of sight blocker in the middle.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it won't be bang in the centre because people want to be slightly quirky.
Yeah.
So they'll weigh it slightly towards one side. And I'll normally take that side because it denies my opponent the ability behind it unless they have a scout move.
Yeah.
If they have some form of scout move and I know they can just shove behind it, I then can't get round enough to be able to shoot them. Does that make sense? Yeah. If they don't have a scout move, then they're not going to be able to get up to it even if they get turn 1. I give them the side where there's no way they can get to the line of sight block. I take the line of sight block for myself and just pan around the sides and hit them.
Okay.
So basically just try and deny the line of sight blockers, not just the area terrain.
Okay. All right, great.
Yeah.
So that's good. So, like, looking at the terrain and seeing what's either an advantage or a disadvantage to your opponent.
Yeah, I guess there's a cost benefit analysis at that point, isn't there? Between do I take this side because it's better for me, or do I take that side because it's worse for my opponent for me to have that side?
And I suppose really, like, you can it's just simple. It's like it's a simple question. The simple question is which side is best for me. But taking that down, it's like which side gains me an advantage.
Which?
Yeah, which, yeah. Like, which side gains me an advantage? Is it because this side because it means my opponent has a disadvantage, or this side because I gain an advantage?
Yeah.
Or, hopefully, best scenario...
Do I hamstring my opponent, or do I bring myself up?
And can I do both?
Yes.
Yeah, is it like a double win?
Which one's more valuable anyway?
Yeah, so that's great. And some people just go, oh, I'll have that side. You know, I find that quite a bit. I'll just have that side, and there probably is.
I'm stood here.
I'm stood here. I'll take that.
Can't be asked to move. That's fine.
Yeah. So Ghost Valley says messing your opponent's deployment is a great way to start him on tilt. So that means put him a little bit off center, especially if you get to choose. Because and if you want, you can do gamesmanship things at this stage. Oh, which side would you like? I'd quite like this side. Well, I'll choose this side. I'll choose that side then. Yeah, because you get the choice. You know, it's like, oh, that was a bit dicky. It's like, oh, was it though? You do it with a cheeky smile, you're having fun. Or telling your opponent before they choose, I'd quite like that side, can I have that side? And then they go, now they don't know if they're choosing the right side.
There's another important distinction.
Go for it.
London GT. I'm playing Jez.
Yeah.
In the second round.
Yeah.
One of us is going to be within 2 feet of the board behind us. The other one is going to have lots of space. Which side do you want?
Yeah, I mean, there's that as well. Like Warhammer World, for instance.
Are you comfortable?
During the heats, you literally butt buddies with someone behind you for a few hours. But if you're on the other side, if you're in the kind of the walkway to the bar, it's all the room in the world, and that can be just as distracting for 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
and some people are like, oh, maybe that's a bit untoward, but psychological warfare is fine.
Yeah.
Being a dick isn't fine.
Mind games.
Mind games is absolutely in competitive play. That is a thing.
Yes.
100%. That is a thing.
Yes,
and totally worth playing with.
I love it.
Chicken Buddy, this is all great, but can you guys just tell us how to win, please? I watch every week to find out, but you never tell us.
We can tell some people, but not you.
Just buy an Eldar army.
I mean, that really makes it much easier.
He's not wrong.
Carl Mack says, sorry, I'm late. I was watching Big Brother and I realised the real drama is here.
You missed it, sorry.
Yeah, you missed the real drama. I'm sorry.
We did have some.
We've already awarded the Cockwomble of the Week award.
Yes.
Ghost Valley says the bully line does not get crossed. It does get crossed by some, and it's not cool.
No, it's not cool.
It's not cool.
There's playful mind games, and there's being an arsehole.
Yes, there are, and sometimes though, and this is look at boxing.
Yeah.
Now I do know that those two guys are signed up to beat the fuck out of each other, so you think everything else is fine beyond that. But getting in someone's head is a competitive sense.
Yeah.
It's a competitive enterprise. And probably Warhammer, we want to do it in a friendly way.
And you have a beer afterwards, and it's all right.
Absolutely, but there is a way to do it in an engaging, entertaining way.
I've got a story about that. So when I was at the ETC, John, who was my 5th round opponent from the LGT, was wandering around the England guys, and he came up to me and complained about not dropping his Guardians in the right place at the LGT in the final after he went after my Rangers again. And it was playful. It was fine. It was just 4 months later, it's yee.
and not let go.
And is that something you can do when you ask yourself the question? When you're doing your analysis and you go, okay, the unit I don't want you to kill is this unit here, Dragoons. But I'll be like, oh, I hope you don't kill my Dragoon Callers. But those knights are going to kill my Dragoon Callers, aren't they? And you'll be like,
yeah, you're going to come over here and charge these. And then they're going to what can I do about it?
I mean, that's the thing.
Maybe he thinks that these are more threatening than them. Okay, I'll charge him.
Yeah, Dude is making a really good point in the chat. Muhammad Ali has a career of messing with people's heads. Also, he helped that he was obviously a phenomenal boxer as well. But he made a point of it. Some people think he was a dick because of it, but it's pretty much recognised that he was one of the best boxers of all time,
if not the best.
If not the best. Definitely. Mike Tyson famously considering boxing to be 90% psychological. So that's
again an absolute animal.
Yeah, JB Studio. I can do this. I can psych people out.
He needs to work on that.
So what are the things? What other things do you think? Would you ask yourself? So terrain, the maps. You've identified the threats in your opponent's armies and weaknesses in yours.
Yeah. What happens if something goes
So we're still not in deployment phase yet. Oh, deployment order. What order am I going to deploy my army in?
Now, that is a great question. And is that related to, I want to kill their unit X, and I want to keep my... And
I want to see where that goes before I deploy my informed things.
You want as much information as possible before you give away your information. So I like to build into my lists, I think the term that I said the other week, that I term it a dead drop. So a deployment that doesn't give anything away.
Yes.
Like a deep striking unit, or some screen or a spawn or just some.
The screen can give it away. Because if it's a lot.
Maybe not.
As an example, with my list, my 30 cultists were one of the last units to go down because they were my screen. Whereas my quad mortars were just like, well, they sucked also, but they were just like 3. I mean, I could have had them as 1 drop of 3, as a single 3, but I preferred to have 1 less on the dice roll for having more drops than and having 3 shitty drops.
Well, it messes with target priority because you can only kill 1 at a time.
Yes, I mean there's also that as well. But yeah, poker face deployments as Chocolate TV. Yeah,
or Phantasm as Zelda like to call it.
Yeah. Ghostface says, "Do I need to screen infiltrators? Set my scouts in the middle to deny space." So what about how many drops do I have? How many drops do my opponent have? Isn't that a good question to ask?
Yeah.
And then prioritizing what you want to drop against.
How many drops could you have? What's the fewest number of drops you could have? And what's the most number of drops you could have? Because if you've got transports, I could put all my characters in 1 transport. It means my Reapers have to go outside, but it also reduced the number of drops I could have massively. If that makes sense.
Yeah, loads.
Whereas that's how many drops I could drop at minimum. But what if I take them all out with transports and put them all down 1 by 1 by 1? That's the most number of drops. So it basically says, well, I could get first in if I wanted to.
Now here's a question. Should that be something you have prepped beforehand?
Well, how many drops do you have?
In our cheat sheet, so we're playing better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shouldn't we have so let's say you've got 3 transports, and they can potentially fit 2 units in each.
Yeah.
So you can potentially go from having them all out or to having 6 units also in transport. So you reduce your drop by 6. Shouldn't you have kind of let's pick 15. I can drop 15 units. I can drop 10 units, or I could drop a minimum 9 units.
This is very similar. So what I would normally like to do is I'd normally like to drop 12 units. But I could drop fewer by taking my big squad of Reapers out of the transport and putting all my characters in it.
Right.
Because I'm deploying 1 unit outside and 4 units in.
Yeah.
So the minimum number of drops I could have is this. So I say, okay, this is the minimum number of drops I have. This is the number of units I have, so that's the maximum number. But if I'm putting my Reapers in my Wave Serpents, this is the number of drops I'll have. Okay. So there's 3 different numbers. So I could get first in if I wanted.
And I know that you're not the sort of person to write this down. It's in your head.
Yeah. I do any admin.
Yeah. But people may want to for efficiency for themselves. It's kind of like a play, isn't it? Like in American football. It's like you call a play. You look at deployment. You go, okay, well you've got 17 drops. I could have 18 or I could have 15. Actually, going first is always a big deal. I'm not saying it's not.
It reminds me of those Fantasy Flight books. What are they called? Like the Warlock of Blacktop Mountain or whatever it was. So Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone did. The Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
It's like, turn to page row if you want to go east. It's like, in this situation, you could go and see the rumbling noises in the cellar. Go to this page. But if you want to maybe go first, you could put your Dark Reapers out in the open.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it gives you it gives you a bit like stratagems, which aren't actually stratagems. That we all know that they're just bonuses to
the modes of playing.
Yeah. No, I mean stratagems in the 40k book.
I know.
They're called stratagems. I'm like, that's not what a strategy is, but that's fine.
Strategies. I've got the economic macro, whereas tactics is micro. Yeah.
So you could have a bunch of cards for yourself. Just like, okay, do I want the minimum drop? And then what does my army look like with a minimum drop? the maximum drop. What does my army look for the maximum drop? And you kind of ask yourself, actually, so I'm playing against knights. I'm not going to beat the minimum drop, you know. So I'm going to go for the maximum drop so I can get the best positioning with my army, you know. But those are things that you know ahead of time. That's what I'm trying to get to with this questionnaire sort of workbook. You've got your army list thing, which we haven't covered yet. Right? We haven't done that. That's not what this is. But then you turn up to the tabletop, and then you've got a bunch of pre-made answers. But you still need to ask yourself, which one of my pre-made answers am I going to go with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a flowchart.
Do you think the idea of having like some pre-made answers is always like too broad, and you would always want to like refine it when you played the matchup? Because there's too many permutations.
No, I guess it's all more information is always better than less.
More options,
I think.
Yeah,
and it just makes that decision quicker. If you're going up to each game and having to work it out each time, that's brain power you're wasting on.
Also, maybe something you haven't thought about before.
Yeah.
I think is it because for me, like these questions and this workbook that I want to go through is something that I think is going to help me be a better gamer. So that's why I'm going through it, and I'm hoping that we can create it through our knowledge pool and the knowledge pool of people out there listening. We can create something that's really quite special that people go, I can play better games now.
Yeah,
because I'm knowing how to play
just
better
by
games.
Having a certain baseline from which we can work with. It's like, okay, well, what do I do next? And what do I do next? Like step by step 40k, and you can build from that and really grow and come up with your own creative ideas.
Exactly, but still within the framework of a best fit. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the guys in the chat are saying, so that's like 50-50 still.
Yes.
That's interesting. Minimum drops isn't necessarily a good thing. So Chuckabutty and then James says, yes, +1 might not even save you, which is a good point. So it shouldn't. What one of the questions be? Do I want to go first? Shouldn't that always be a question? And that probably should be in the army list.
That's a good question. Normally, I like to go second, actually.
I've decided now that my philosophy is I'm always going to assume I'm going second in my deployment.
So you just naturally assume you're going second.
You
deploy like you're going second.
I generally try to, but sometimes I don't always. Like yesterday, in my practice game, I deployed like an idiot. Just put my dudes on a building, like, yeah, go shoot those, go first and kill them all in a turn. Whereas what I should have done is deployed, assuming I was going to go second, and thinking, right, if I deploy like that, what's going to happen if I don't go first? They're just all going to die. Mm-hmm. So I should have thought. So now my philosophy is I'm just going to deploy every game as if I'm going second, and if I go first, it's a bonus or whatever.
Okay.
Not necessarily a bonus, but like I had that thought because I thought, right, if I deploy, assuming I'm going to go first and go second, I'm likely to lose that. So if I deploy like I'm going second, but then I actually going first, even if I have to move those heavy weapons, that's more shots than nothing.
What if that's not necessarily? I guess so often going second can be an advantage, especially in old Eternal War missions where you want to jump on the objective and then the game ends. Mm-hmm. But I guess the trade-off is if you want to go first and then you go second, and then half your army gets wiped, that's much different to wanting to go second and going first. Because you still have the bodies on the board to control that, and you still win conditions such as killing enough of your opponent's army that you can establish pressure in some of the objectives.
Yeah, it's all...
I'm saying the negative connotations of wanting to go first and going second are worse than the negative connotations of wanting to go second and going first. With most armies, because so many armies are geared towards just killing people.
Yes, and there's a strategy in that before you even get to the tabletop, right? Mm. You know, you build an army list that's before we're asking these questions on the tabletop. Mm-hmm. You know, have I designed a list that's meant to go first, or have I designed a list that's meant to go second to respond to go first? Blaznik's in the chat just talking about Archibald and using some old school emojis from Warhammer Live. Sure, they haven't updated those emojis since I updated them a year and a half ago. Just haven't updated any of them. It's just like, do some work, you lazy fucks. Sorry. But the 50-50 emoji is mine because I just love that. You know, you will or you won't.
They're outsourcing all their work anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
Getting the Americans in. Because they're better at 40k than us now.
I think.
Altboy Phil uses it as well. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. Tom, do you always want to? You don't want to go first. You want to go second.
If I go first, it's not the end of the world because my army's so scary. I can just generally delete half an army if I need to. Whereas going second, it's like, well, I know you're probably not going to hit me too much because I've got so much anti-alpha, unless you're running something like Basilisk that can hit my Shining Spears.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Whereas if I'm going second, I can often I get the benefit of having the alpha anyway because I've got so much peel to get people off from hitting me really hard turn 1, and then I hit you anyway, and then I get the bonus of holding the objectives at the end of the game. So I often get the alpha even if I'm not going first, so it doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah, okay, that's fair points. Jamie Studios, this battle pre-game can get to fuck from your bit alpha Legion opponent that didn't know about it.
Is that a Scottish person in the chat?
Yeah. It's a bunch of guys in the chat, yeah. So also, like, knowing, isn't it really important knowing whether or not your opponent's army can redeploy in the deployment phase? Can your army redeploy?
Yes. Well, also knowing exactly what the specific stratagems are, I guess, and the specific chapter traits are.
So now we start getting onto that concept of what do we call it? We call it something not like knowing all of the rules. We have a term for
make sure you understand
system mastery.
Yeah, system mastery.
Yeah,
and I think it's impossible to have system mastery realistically. So isn't it more prudent? You know, Pen.
Yeah.
Isn't it more prudent to try and get something? Sorry, I've got something.
Oh, sorry. It's past its resurrection protocols.
Oh no! There's some big boy pens. Look at that.
Yeah. But isn't it more prudent to have like a bunch of questions which are like, can your army redeploy? Can it scout? You know, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, so can your army redeploy? Can it scout? Can it deep strike? If so, which units can deep strike and where? Do you have stratagems for redeploying?
Make sure your opponent knows what you mean by scout.
Well, yeah, like pre-aggressive. Well, that's why we made.
I can't scout because it's not a thing.
Yeah,
but I can make a pre-game move. It's just like, yeah, okay, then fine.
And he's like, you've been reading the Honest Wargamer glossary, haven't you?
Well, that's why I wanted to make a glossary as well, so people can have better conversations on the tabletop with each other.
Yeah,
so that's why it's part of the workbook. You know, so like it's like a key for a map. You can't start exploring it unless you have a key, right?
There's a pen without a lid here, and I can see the lid in the bottom of the other tub.
It's just triggering something.
Yeah, I've got to deal with it, man. I was a malware.
OCD nature.
Sure. There we go. We fixed it.
So yeah, there's a bunch of questions to ask. Yeah, can you redeploy? Can you deep strike? So the other one, obviously, always is how far can that unit shoot, and what's its effective range, including stratagems and psychic powers. Yeah. And we mean by effective range
movements plus shooting.
Movement plus shooting. Movement of any sort plus shooting.
Yeah.
And then one of the questions I often ask, hi Moon Tyranid, one of the questions I often ask is, what is your effective charge range?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what's the maximum you can move plus 2d6?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
plus 12. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Plus 11 actually, because it needs to be within 12 inches to declare that making an 11-inch charge.
Yes. So I often ask that question quite a lot, like what's the effective range for shooting, what's the effective range for your thingy? And then do you ask what are your psychic powers?
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, do you always ask that?
Yeah. What psychic powers have you got? What relics have you got?
Which psychic powers have you got? Which relics have you got?
I was probably just assuming that had happened before this stage, because I think one of the first things you do at a tournament is exchange lists or whatever.
Well, yeah, we might not be doing these chronologically, as an example.
Okay.
When we come to writing it all up, we'll put it in a chronological order.
Yeah, but often you also have in tournaments where you pick your warlord traits and your psychic powers and your relics at each round. So you can just say, this game I will have Jinx and Protect. Next game I'll have Quick and Restrain.
Yes, but you ask on the tabletop, you're like, what relics have you got? Which psychic powers you got? What's your stratagems? Which are your models that do those things? I think that's also really important as well, because that's an important question to ask for two reasons. One, if your opponent is someone who could make mistakes, which we obviously don't advise, but also for your opponent not to be abusive. It's very important. So you've got two psychers. Which one has null zone?
Yeah.
And which one doesn't?
That's very key.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, yeah.
Yeah, and worth taking a note of, right?
Well, it's also making sure that your army is distinctive enough so people can tell the difference between your different models.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I sometimes like to do is say, hey, would you like to swap books? So I just give them my book.
Yeah.
And then I'll have theirs so I can be flicking through it and looking at stuff while they deploy.
I sometimes think that is too much info. I'd rather get I think what I'm going to do in the future is create a crib sheet for my opponent, So I can just say, like, these are my units, like, and even with like a shorthand blurb, just be like, there you go. I would quite like to see people trading crib sheets. Like, I think that would be, because we play an open game as opposed to a closed game, and an entire codex is quite a closed
You're not necessarily
thing.
going to be reading the entire codex, and also I feel like it gives my opponent security because I give them my book, and if I've got something wrong, then they can check it for me.
Cyrox, higher, but they've got to flick through the pages, find the entry. And what I'm
it also hides, it gets rid of the fact of me looking through my book and lying about an AP value, for example.
Well, exactly. Would you go, how would you feel if a tournament suggested that there was a crib sheet? Morning from Auckland. Hi, Cyrox. Hope you're doing well. Cyrox?
Are they in Straya?
Straya? Yeah, Straya.
Are they waking up?
Is Auckland and Straya on Zealand?
New Zealand.
It's New Zealand. You racist. Zealand. I don't know what they call bogans in New Zealand. I think they are bogans as well.
I don't know what a bogan is.
You don't know what a bogan is?
No.
You're kind of a bit of a bogan.
Thanks. I'll Google it now.
Yeah.
Will it come up with questionable images?
Huh?
Will it come up with questionable images if I Google bogan? How do you even spell that? Bogon. It's like a Pokemon. Come on.
It's the Australian version. So they are bogans too.
Is it Australian slang for a person whose speech, clothing, attitude, and behaviour are considered unrefined? Or unsophisticated. Depending on the context, the term can be pejorative or self-deprecating.
Yes, they're rednecks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a bogan a bit.
I
look like a bogan.
That doesn't make you a bogan.
I look like a bogan that's getting married. Yeah, like my shirt's kind of nicer than it should be, but basically I look like a bogan that's going to church. That's how I look.
Right.
Do that. A question: is it just me, or are the codex layouts for data sheets and points being on different pages a total pain? They're so infuriatingly difficult to.
The layout is crap.
I feel like have you seen not Johnny Mnemonic? What's it with Tom Cruise where you can see future crimes?
Oh, with the precogs.
Yeah, the precogs. What's it called? Have you never seen it? Oh, you've not seen it, Tom. You've seen no films.
I've seen no Tom Cruise films.
Wow.
No, I've seen War of the Worlds. That's one I've seen.
I can't remember. Tip my tongue.
Hold up, I'm going to Google it.
Oh, hold on. Minority Report. Thank you. That's what I feel like sometimes when I'm reading through the codex. I'm like, I want like 7 screens. And I'm like, right, yeah, points values there. Okay, profile, weapon profile. I have the digital version actually of the codexes. And then what's so annoying is like, this unit may take special weapons, and then I press the special weapons. I expect it to list the special weapons.
It just tells you the page.
It takes me to the special weapons page, takes me there.
Oh, takes you there.
Fucking
go back.
Wipe back.
I don't buy the iPad editions. I just buy the straight PDF version of it.
Yeah. I'm sure someone can come up with a much better layout.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a publishing student. Give me.
Yeah. Okay.
Give me that cash, boys.
Like I said, I use a digital version. I just condense all the information from screenshots into a PDF.
And then you take a screenshot of all the pages, then rearrange the screenshots so you can make your.
Well, like sometimes, like
take out all the fluff.
No, just like I just get rid of all the stratagems that I don't need. Just the 4 or 5 that I use on one page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carmack says, a lad I played at Sanctuary had these printed data sheets for each of his titans. It was really nice to read while he was turning my army to craters.
I had that for, when I did the Super Chicken and the Mortarion and the Magnus. Yeah. I had a Dunk Squad spreadsheet.
A Dunk Squad spreadsheet.
A full Photoshop of like Mortarion, Magnus and Super Chicken as basketball players.
Well, that's
on the back it had all the like stats and wounds.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Nick, if you went to a tournament and they enforced you writing a crib sheet with a guide on how to do it best, would you be like, this is good or bad?
If they give me a guide, I'd be fine.
I'd be a little bit put off by it just because it's a little bit extra work for me to do. I can absolutely see the benefit of it, of course, and it would help me learn the army better, and would mean there's less questions from my opponent, and they will have a better chance against my army, but equally I'd have a better chance against theirs because we're both on the same page about how our armies work.
Which I think is key, right?
Yeah, so that'd be better. Yeah.
Do you think there's a difference?
Symbol's making a really good point. Players already don't read the comp pack, which I agree with.
Yeah.
Do you think there's
you would get a lot of people turning up and not doing it?
What? But then, isn't that down to TOs having not enforced a system?
Like that, like you got points for it. Maybe say if you bring a crib sheet, you get 10 extra tournament points.
Yeah, I'm asking because really what we're talking about is the nature of Warhammer 40k events, gaming in general between ourselves. Because lots of people, if we go on the Facebook pages, there's nothing but shouting at each other, right? Yeah. And a lot's that because there's so much either unassumed knowledge or ignorance because there isn't just a cohesive conversation about the whole thing. Yeah. What causes people to not read the event pack? Because people aren't penalised for it.
Do you think there's a distinction between telling your opponent what your units do and telling your opponent what your army does?
Yes.
So say that again, sorry.
So let's say, I give my opponent my crib sheet and say, okay, here's Araman. Mm-hmm. He's got warp time. He can cast it at 8, and he also has an ability that allows him to cast it at things at plus 6 inch range, so he can cast it 9 inches, and it makes things double move. And this is Mortarion, and he goes and punches you in the head. It's like, okay, Mortarion's scary, and Araman's got some cool powers. But if they don't put 2 and 2 together and make warp time is going on, Mortarion, do you think it's your job to tell them, I can warp time Mortarion up and punch you in the head?
Well, no, telling them you can make a unit move twice, I think is all you need to say.
Okay.
I mean, for me, I'd probably go a little bit further and say, look, I mean, there's a big monster here. I could definitely warp time him. Yeah, but that does two things as well. Yeah. I'm not being unclear about what I can do.
Yeah.
But I might be sneakily warp timing another unit. Just because I'm giving you
information. That sounds like I can warp time big monster.
Yeah, I can warp time a big monster, but maybe that isn't the thing I'm going to warp time. But it gives them some ideas, and you can lead the horse to as long as you're not false.
As long as you're saying, I can't warp time, or I don't have this power, or, this is what I have, and I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to use it, but I can use it.
Yeah, I can use it. And here's an example of where I can use it. Now, that might be like a bluff, it might be a double bluff. That's where the tactics and skill of skilled gamers. That's what I'm talking about, the difference between beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Yeah. Because realistically, an advanced player doesn't need to know all of Nikos's rules, for instance, or all of your rules, Tom. But what he needs to hear is you can go double the movement, and then you say, I can double move Mortarion, and then he looks and goes, what else can you bloody double move, you lying fuck? Yeah, I'm looking around because he knows you're playing a game.
Well, it's like with
playing a game's
it's
fun.
Like with Tony Kopach's list. Okay, he's got Strachan. He gives +1 attack. He's got a priest that gives +1 attack. He's got these shitty platoon commanders. So what do all they do? They get 10 attacks. Good. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
I feel like if your tournament are running Thousands of Mortarion, if you have to tell them about Warp Time Mortarion, you've likely won that game already. Yes, they're probably fairly new.
Round 4 of Heat 1, my opponent didn't know what Dark Reapers did.
This is a Warhammer world where all events are beginning 40k.
He was a nice guy, though.
We've already talked about beginners 40k.
His army was cool.
Oh, good. He's a nice guy. Yeah.
He played fine apart from that. But he was, my Storm Surge got 1 shot. Okay.
Carmack saying, I'm going full MF Doom at the next tournament, wearing a mask and saying nout. Just handing out cards, being real creepy and weird. Yeah. But that's a strategy,
just
right?
Like with plaques, he's just pulling them up. I have warp time. I have this. Someone at the airport.
Anyway, any other questions?
Yeah, I think for the crib sheet, there would need to be, you need guidance for it, because some people would go too far, some people would do the bare minimum, wouldn't they?
Like me.
It could be, I don't know. Could mind games play into your crib sheet though? Could you be misleading?
Well, it could have to be TOs to read through crib sheets. I've already got to read through an army list. Okay, sure. There's a bunch of conversations.
Would it just be like a Battlescribe one where you just print out the list on Battlescribe and take the data sheet?
Well, Battlescribe also created a crib sheet from.
Well, we already have it. So if you you have an army, it tells you.
It does tell you all the rules, but
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I think Tom was asking the distinction between these are my army rules, but then this is how it works. This is what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah.
This is my win condition.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have help having bronze, silver, and gold level tournaments to help players differentiate the level of play at a certain event? And what would that divide the community much? Me and Elevie had a conversation earlier, where we talked about different styles of play as well. And in something like Magic, you've got open. Is it called open? And you've got I know there's Commander, and there's a bunch of styles of still just playing with the cards and fucking playing Magic. But there's different ways to play, and maybe the 40k community, as it gets larger, can diversify its playstyle.
Get an ELO system.
And again, in ELO system, is it ELO?
Yeah, ELO. I'd call it ELO. But...
Yeah, there's that, but goddamn, most people can't even play with their goddamn rules right. That's what I'm talking about with the workbook. Let's get to the stage where we can play with the rules right. consistently,
then we can do it.
You
sub 30 players.
Because the question is like, who won the tournament? It's like, well, who didn't fuck up the most?
Yeah.
Yeah. If that's the stage we're at,
that sounds like the NALCS. Yes. I can still bash on that.
Night Hook and Pin. I hope you get better. LVO has a friendly narrative and open. Says Ghost Valley. So there's a good point. Friendly narrative and open. Modern Commander Legacy and Standard. So power levels. We should all use power levels anyway.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, let me bring out Atos Rauka Rez again.
Something like game battles for Warhammer. Is that what you guys are thinking? I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
Game battles?
I mean, sounds great. Probably a new game coming out from modelfloggers.com.
Model Flogger Bloggers.
Oh, and then Imagine 40k with certain units banned. Again, really interesting format, I think. And also Imagine 40k with a side pool. We used to have that in Age of Sigmar, and it was great.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Have like a 1,000 point side pool of units that you can sub in and out.
Yeah. I mean, it really benefits some armies, but like again, it goes into. Oh no, because it's so strong.
I think you need to extend round times for that. Would you?
Yeah, potentially.
15 minutes only, because you can think about what you're going to stick in and what you're going to take out.
I think we are only in. This is what's so exciting. We are only in the very infantile stages of what competitive Warhammer is going to be in the future. When people talk about there's massive things like the LVO, massive events over in Las Vegas. We're having teething problems that other gaming systems have had 10, 20 years ago. When I'm reading articles to learn stuff, to talk about stuff on the show, I'm reading Magic articles from 1999. I'm not reading last week's. We're talking
mostly development articles, though, right?
Yeah, but they're old.
Yeah.
They're old as balls. These aren't new ideas. Same way we talked about what happened at the LVO and generally cheating in 40k, and we talked about the ETC, and the ETC have solved many of these problems years ago.
Yes.
So it's we've already got it in our community.
Yeah. Can we expand it now, please?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's a game event, all your results from LAN events and online events, and give players a level and by the IC rankings, but players could put results in, etc. Yes. Something like that sounds great. And Haywo says, I love sideboards, and then did, which I didn't know you could get from anywhere, the Morty face from Rick and Morty as an emoji.
Oh, did you hover over it? I'll probably tell you the channel it came from.
It comes from Skylit.
No idea about it. Does he stream Fortnite or something?
I don't know.
Probably.
Anyway, my dudes, any other questions you ask yourself when when you're deploying, when you're at the tabletop with your opponent, We've done asked about stratch.
Does my opponent want a drink?
I mean, that's a nice start. Yeah. Do you want to drink? Do you want to drink before we start? Yeah. Is it good one?
I've finished. Do you want a drink?
Here's my hydrators.
Yeah. Would you do that? Would you do that before you did the roll off for the first tip?
Yeah. While they're finishing deploying and stuff. It's just or if they're in the first movement phase, if we're finished deploying at certain times.
But shouldn't you predefine it? And I know this sounds super OCD. Shouldn't you say right? Before we roll for first turn, let's get a drink. You roll first turn, you start the game. Or would you like to roll first turn, know who's going first, and then you both go off, get a drink so you can have a little think about it while you're at the bar?
I prefer that. I like that.
It's not just
deploy.
When I just get a minute, I'm just I'm going to go for a drink. Do you want anything?
Okay. So more yours is more just generally being nice. Yeah. Do you think that there's... Because it gives a nice... If you were to deploy, roll off, see who goes first, seize... Going to the bar for the drink at that point gives a nice grace period of thought for both players, because both players are probably going to think during that period, right?
Well, the person who's going first gets to calculate what they're going to kill, and the person going second has a few moments where most of their army is not dead yet.
It kind of makes that sound like a mind game when I do it, because I feel like it's more valuable for me for neither of us to get that thinking time than for both of us to get it, because I'm just just kill him. Whereas he has to actually, or she has to actually think about the nuances of the matchup.
Tom, when you talk about 40k, it's so fucking dark.
You're just
most people think, I just turn up and just fucking roll them Dark Reapers at someone. Yours sounds like you literally just go, so I get in my car and I say, Google car, drive to building. Yeah. And then,
well, this is the thing. So when I first started playing competitive, I was playing a Khorne's Chaos Space Marine list that confused everybody. Yeah. So I just do my actions really quickly so that I have time to think of it. Just go what the fuck is this. And I was like, I know exactly what this is. I know what my army's doing. I don't have to think about anything. I just do the same strategy every game. You try and deal with it. If you can think fast enough, you'll win. If not, you're probably going to lose.
Mm.
So it's just like, yeah, no thinking time for you, no thinking time for me. We'll just do it on the fly and see who can think fast.
See who can react.
See who can think fast. Yeah, it's like
see who
mechanics.
has Eldar first.
Yeah, exactly.
Haha, I've already got Eldar.
I can't wait for
pure mechanics, man.
We're going to start you with a new army, Tom, and you have to play it for a year, so we don't have to hear about the Eldari. That's the plan.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
You're going to give me something horrendous, aren't you?
No, we'll pick you just something different, non-Eldar based.
It's boring.
Just something.
Just
something challenging to play.
With.
Go on. Any other questions you think?
None are springing to mind. I don't know.
I can't think of any ATM.
No.
No?
No, I think they're good.
I think that's everything I can think of so far. But there might be a bunch because we haven't written it all down. And it's a good place to write a list that we're going to post up at some point. So keep your eyes on it. And then what we can do from there is incorporate that into our workbook. But also, if you guys out there have got ideas for questions that you ask yourself, and the whole idea is and the reason I'm asking. I suppose asking about opponent stratagems. I like asking also, can someone fight twice? Because sometimes that means that I put 2 lines of screens out to stop my opponent piling in, attacking again. That tends to be one that I think is important. But yeah, I think that's. But if anyone out there has a list of questions that they ask, or some questions that they think we've missed, I'd love you to tweet us or Facebook us or message us and drop us a line. Because probably this is something that's going to need to be an ongoing conversation. But it's a good grounding, right? Have you thought about anything new there? I've thought about some new things there.
Yeah.
Guess the redeploy thing.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that before. I got caught out of the grand final.
With a redeploy?
Yeah. I think it's the first time I played against Eldar where someone did that to me. That was Francesco, the Italian.
Yeah.
Franco's a different guy.
So Francesco, I think, is going to the Heat in September.
Woohoo!
So I'm excited to see him again.
Alright, nice.
Might drive down and just bully everyone. Be good.
Yeah.
Be fine. Won't be able to be me. I'll be too fast. Fucking flip belts everywhere.
Yeah, you don't need to go to the bar to make thinking time. You just how do you deal with all these?
So in the final section then, everyone on Patreon who helps support the show and keeps it going, and is going to turn it into this global super thing that it's going to become. That's a fact.
Yes.
Yeah? Thank you for that. Thank you for being in there early. You can still join Patreon, help support the show, keep fair and independent media, and everyone on Twitch who subscribes and watches the show. You guys are amazing, and thanks for being in the chat. Also, please join us every Thursday to talk about 40k. Because I like it when everyone's in the chat throwing their opinion in as well, because they often say cleverer stuff than I can think of.
So we need the hive minds to help us.
To do some good stuff. But the final section of today is a brand new section that we're going to end the 40k show with, which I'm surprising you two with. Yeah?
Are you?
Yeah, I'm surprising you with it right now. Yeah? So the end section of the 40k show that we're going to do every week is going to be this, if we get time, is going to be, we pick a faction, and it can be chosen by someone in the chat. We pick a faction, and then what we do between the three of us is we describe the stereotypical type of person, that we think would play that faction. Maybe movies they like, TV shows they like. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then John has offered to maybe potentially draw that person in some sort of memeology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm already taking names of my sisters, says Jay Booth. Everyone is a bandwagoner. Is that true?
Yes.
No? Do you like this idea? The idea of this section?
Yes.
Nick?
Yeah.
People can't hear you nod.
Yes.
Blazanix, thanks for subscribing. There you go. Blazanix is helping the show.
Go on, Blazanix.
Zen Minis wants Nids, and seeing as Moon Tyrannid is in the chat, I think that's absolutely.
What does Moon Tyrannid look like?
Moon Tyrannid, he was at Hell's on Wargaming. He's an incredibly tall,
blonde, spiky hair,
gorgeous man. Thanks, Blazanix. Really appreciate it, Winky Face. So Nids, Tyrannids. So Tyrannid's favourite film?
Aliens.
Ooh.
Or Starship Troopers.
No, they hate Starship Troopers. They hate Starship Troopers.
So, Aliens.
Oh, thanks, Blazanix. That's real cool, man.
Is that a new one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
John's just finished some new art for the channel.
Yeah, so come on.
Yeah, it's good. Favourite film?
So Aliens.
What do you think your favourite film of a Tyranid player would be? This goes out to the Twitch chat as well, so you guys are welcome to join us. Predator.
Return of the Jedi.
Why?
I'll explain why.
Yeah.
Because those Ewoks are really easy to eat and they have a lot of biomass. That's how it works.
Alright, good.
If I wanted to
hair in
invade a
your
planet,
teeth,
I
though.
would want a planet full of Ewoks.
It's a bit hairy.
Don't mind, you give them to
Too
Rippers, they're
hairy.
bottom of society anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think their favourite... Should be fine. There we go.
Are
We're
we
back.
ready?
I'm so sorry about that.
Sorry,
I'm
guys.
so sorry.
I'm not. Fuck you guys.
I'm really sorry.
Sorry for that too.
What's most frustrating about this is I now have to edit the podcast.
Oh man.
That is the worst bit. I hate having to do that.
Good lord.
That's just more work. So I'm blaming Dan all the way over in America. I appreciate that. Hold the door. So glad I wasn't using my earbuds. R.I.P. all earbud users. I'm sorry. The battery should have lasted though.
That's another car crash we've caused.
Tom, you're louder now. I don't think your microphone was ever on.
But how did it run out of battery?
I don't know. I don't know. I think you might have replugged it in or something. So anyway, so their favourite before the interruption, people were saying such loud noise. IG would love Starship Troopers, but misunderstands the anti-fascism parody and take 100% straight. Tremors, and also Aliens, Ants, and It's a Bug Life.
Bugs Life.
Yeah.
So upset it's ruined this section. It's fine. We're back. Right. What else?
Ultramarines, the movie.
No, they wouldn't watch Ultramarines the movie. Or they would. They'd be like, "This is shit." Yeah. Devour it now. Okay.
There you go. The full Lord of the Rings series, because that box set is the extended versions, because the box is pretty big because of the extra discs.
That is really reaching. I think you're really reaching.
They eat that.
All right. So, what would they wear for clothing? Tyrannid players. You know for a fact, if you've ever listened to any live coverage I've done of tournaments, I always talk about the war gear of
full lycra and then those walking helmets.
like Hal out.
Are we stereotyping Tyrannid players or what Tyranids be like if they...
Tyrannid players.
No, Tyrannid players.
I feel like Tyrannid players would wear shorts and sleeveless shirts. And the reason I think this is you've got so many models to move and you're reaching around all the time, especially if you're doing it with G-Steel models. So basically you reach over, you give everyone that pong because your armpits are straight out exposed to the
we all
world.
wear deodorant all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you're reaching all the way across the board for your Gene Stealers everywhere. You're charging 300 miles into someone's face. And then once you're done, you can sit there all comfortable and stew in your own bodily sweats and just let your opponent remove all your models.
Biomass.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I won't remove them yet. You just keep shooting, and then I'll just scoop them all up with, like, my net that I've got under the table. Have it,
son.
There you go.
Okay, so you think it would be like the cast of White Men Can't Jump?
I kind of feel like
Obviously, you've never seen that movie because you've never seen it.
No, I haven't. But I kind of feel like we don't really have a stereotypical kind of way that Tyranid players have, because we only ever see Tyranids when they're actually good. Competitive Tyranid players are very disloyal.
Competitive Tyranid players are disloyal.
Well, how many Tyranid players are Hellstorm?
Oh, do you mean they're quite flip floppy? As in they
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're stereotyping, so I'm just going full on.
Okay.
So
that they'll only play Tyranids if they're competitive?
Mostly, yes.
No, I don't think that's true. I think some people love the bugs.
There's a couple. So Chris that I practice with down at Warhammer World occasionally. He's really grumpy, but he's good fun because you just laugh at him when he gets grumpy.
So LLV says, what Tom's saying is Tyranid players are likely husky fellows. I don't think that's true. I think Tyranid players are like lithe. Yeah,
so let's go to the extreme of that.
Yeah, they're just like quick, and they're wearing like Nicholas says, they're wearing lycra. Yeah,
quick is like the opposite of Chris.
Right.
Chris is like he's like in his mid-40s, early 50s or something like this, and he's a Tyranid player all his life.
Yeah,
I just want to play with my bugs, and I'm going to do it very slowly.
Okay, all right. So clothing.
They lob them into boxes. They don't take care of their models. Straight into a tub.
What, you think so?
Yep.
So maybe they'd wear a coat with big pockets.
What you said? They just pull out different Tyranids.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I can't fix it here.
I'm bringing Turbogons today, so I need my special coat. And then he pulls out this coat.
Because then, you reveal your
Would you like
your
to buy
tools, your
some
net,
Tyranids?
your net, your scooper, your croupier to push them on.
Croupier to push them around. What have they got? Like a selection of tools now?
Well, you can have those pockets. So I've got pockets in my like open flap. What if you had a flap at the bottom? So you just take your coat, you extend it over the table, and then you just open a pocket at the bottom of the pocket, and they'll just fall out.
Oh no!
Straight in.
Why couldn't they? Couldn't they dress more like like the hunter in Jumanji? With like one of them like waistcoat sort of like outfits, and then they've got all the ammo pockets, and they're just full of Tyranids.
That's what I'm saying. But rather than having to pull them out the top, like this pocket, for example, on my shirt is like you put your pens in at the top. What if you had an extra like zip pocket at the bottom? If I unzip this, and all the Tyranids just fall.
I think now we're inventing fashion wear for Tyranid players.
Yeah, I know. So we could just sell it to them.
Coming soon from Games Workshop.
All right. Next question. In what format are people likely to bring their Tyranid army? Is it going to be a KRC case, perfectly cut out? Is it going to be a really useful box? Is it going to be a Games Workshop case? Like what's
ice cream tubs?
Yeah, ice cream tubs and sandwich bags.
And what?
Sandwich bags.
Tesco carrier bag.
just in a bag.
Yeah.
You don't need to make sure you've got all of them at the end of your game. Just scoop them all in. I've got plenty. It's alright.
Okay,
There's a couple of really loyal Tyranid players actually, but like the vast majority are just like flip flopping. It's going in the attic. Just slings it onto the roof like pizza.
So just a big bag.
Yeah, just it's like on the roof.
But I've seen like more elite Tyranid armies, like more high tyrants and Carnifex and those kind of size. That they're painted nicely. I'm sure they'll take care of those.
That'll be people
because that's easier to.
That'll be the people who are really loyal to Tyranid, so like James and Hull and Chris, obviously, and those kinds of guys who are like really loyal to the
James
those
and Chris.
Those guys.
Yeah, from Swedonia.
I literally gave you locations. So
I'm sure there are millions of players around the world.
Yeah,
but there probably is another Chris who's like, fucking my Tyranids is just a sandwich box. I just throw them on.
Better shit now. In the attic you go.
Question from Zed Minis. Do they have beards or don't have beards, Tyranid players?
I don't think beards are...
No, I don't think they have beards.
You don't think they have beards?
No.
No, they don't have beards. No, they don't have beards because they don't want to. Because they eat so much.
Yeah,
when they don't want to.
It blocks them getting as close to the.
I actually feel like Tyranids are kind of more like diverse gender-wise. Like they're one of the more popular factions among female players as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I think that's true as well.
Yeah.
High representation.
Yeah, so that would decrease the beard percentage.
A lot.
Imagine, yeah.
Plus, to quote my favourite band from Australia, if your dad doesn't have a beard, you've got two mums, two beardless mums. Okay. That's a band called The Beards. They've got 6 albums out. Every song is about a beard. Check them out.
Okay.
Yeah. The Beards! So
you are very loud.
What?
You are very loud.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
In Warhammer TV, Kerry, although actually only now Kerry, is a Tyranid player. I feel like that they will wear... yes, so... Clothing, we've covered films and TV shows that they're watching.
What
music?
About music?
Music?
Emo rap.
Emo rap. I like that you don't really know genres anyway, so that's great. Yeah, you've nailed it.
I drum and dance.
As a DJ, that offended me. What do you think?
I think like dance music, like trance music.
Hard style.
Yeah, because I'm imagining like that kind of that kind of beat and just repetitive, I'm just imagining that's like the signals that Tyranid monsters might get to receive the information from the hive mind.
They've got hearts down. They're ingesting all sorts of suspicious substances. I just cast aspersions about it.
Are you saying that their Tyranid players are heavy drug users?
No, I'm saying hardstyle fans.
Okay.
In general.
Unicorn John reckons they're listening to anime soundtrack songs.
That's me, but I don't play Tyranids.
Okay. Alright. You weeboo, or whatever they're called.
Weeboo.
Yeah. That is as offensive to you, me saying weeboo, as you saying emo rap. Yeah. Which is not a genre. Okay. And then, no, I think that's more Eldar. Anime soundtrack is played by Eldar.
I think that's more Tau.
Huh?
I think that's more Tau.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Tau are listening to only J-pop.
What, but just driving around, like, that's Gang of Stars K-pop, never mind. Wait a minute, what's the difference between anime soundtracks and J-pop?
Loads. One of them is not banned in Jamaica.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
J-pop is banned in Jamaica.
Is it?
Yeah.
What, Jamaican pop?
No. Japanese pop.
Okay.
I'm not joking.
Why?
I don't know. I'm not in charge.
I'm having to Google that later.
Yeah.
Later, not now.
Yeah,
later.
do it later. Right. Okay. So, what food would Tyranny players like?
Anything. Out the trash. Just disgusting creatures.
I don't know. Sushi?
Sushi.
That's Japanese, isn't it? So
and they'd be into sushi. They'd definitely be into
raw
sushi.
Food.
I think they'd be into all you can eat, like ribs places.
Yeah.
Chinese takeaways do all
finger food, definitely.
Chinese food you can do, all you can eat Chinese is. That is perfect for Tyranid players.
I think any food where you can get your hands dirty, get really into it.
I just get really into it.
I don't think they'd like pub meals like hunter's chicken.
I don't think they want to use knives and forks. They're so used to just having to use their hands to move 1 million models around that they're just like, just feed me. Okay, and then what is any other hobbies? I think that's another great question. Hobbies. I should have prepared for this section more, I definitely feel, but I'm winging it kind of okay.
This is fine. What did they do?
Play hobbies.
World of Warcraft?
No.
Just a generic game hobby.
I mean, it's easy to say, like,
sprinting.
Bug collecting. What?
Sprinting.
Sprinting! To train for moving all those models around.
How can you say Warhammer will just eat everything out of a Chinese takeaway and then
I think they do watercolour paintings.
Okay, that's
I think that's what they'd be into. Watercolour paintings.
Peaceful hippies.
Yeah, they're just like, look, man, I'm into the biomass, the hive mind.
The ecosexuals.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And they also play StarCraft 2, but only as mono Zerg players.
Zerg.
Yeah. John reckons they play Monster Hunter. Blesnix thinks that they're butchering. Wait, we said that Nid players were like skinny, but you're describing eating habits of a husky. No, they're skinny.
Well, they're skinny quick. Because they go to the all you can eat Chinese place, but then they sprint really fast and burn it all off.
And then they get indigestion and they have to be sick, and then they're all alright again.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. I think this
what
is.
did Moon Tyranid
I think this is enough information for people, isn't it, to identify a Tyrannid player when you see one.
Now, when you're walking along the street, you can identify people.
If anyone sees a classic Tyranid player, wants to send us a photo and tweet us or Facebook us, that would be obviously fantastic.
Generic dark clothing.
We've done clothing. You've picked like 9 outfits for clothing.
Yeah, we picked types of clothes, not colours of clothes.
Oh, okay.
Like if we had Space War players said wolves howling at the moon.
I mean, obviously most of this is just a joke because I can describe them right now. It's khaki cargo shorts, band t-shirt, hat. Done.
A khaki cargo short's pretty accurate, actually.
That's just a Warhammer player.
My cover photo...
Look at Tom struggling. Yes, all of them.
My cover photo literally has me at the ETC wearing khaki cargo shorts.
I know, bro. I know.
There you go.
It's like I look around at Warhammer events and I'm like, khaki cargo shorts, and I'm like, I wonder what skin colour everyone is. White. But we're diversifying our image of these people.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, making it a bit of a gag.
Yeah, we're stereotyping ourselves, it's fine. I've played everything, so I can just bully everyone.
I'm not sure how that's how it works.
I spot prejudice, equality, everyone gets shit.
LLV says, I've never worn cargo shorts. Spaceball players all have Viking tattoos. That's true, but we'll do them another day. Anything else we can say for Tyranid? Anything else we can say for Tyranid players?
They're on board with mass media influence.
Okay.
What?
Because
they're Russians.
Hive mind. Yeah. Hive
oh,
mind.
okay. They're Gestalt.
So they're into that. Yeah.
So they're Redditors.
Yeah.
They're Redditors.
Redditors have like these circle jerks, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, because you need something to do with the hive mind in our kind of like stereotypical version of them. Do they believe in crystals? Like one energy?
Yeah.
Are they druids? Are they pagans?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Probably like magic as well.
Magic the Gathering.
They're like magic like a magician.
Like some Penn and Teller, do they?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And they're like giant
mind tricks,
floating brains. Not that you get this in real life.
They're Futurama fans.
Yes, Futurama fans. All right, I think that is an interesting section that we've nailed.
Good job, everyone.
If we've exactly described you, please send us a picture.
With your Tyranid army.
And your DVD collection behind with all of the movies previously listed.
What the heck? Never mind.
Oh my God, Tom, you've ruined it right at the end.
So professional up to that point.
I wasn't. Never mind.
Yeah. Right, so have you guys got any final things to say to everyone? I just want to thank everyone on Patreon and Twitch, as always. You guys are wonderful and fantastic. And to you two. You guys are wonderful co-hosts, and I appreciate you.
And you're a wonderful host, Rob. Thank you.
It's because I'm dripping in BDE.
You are the source. You're the one energy.
The source.
Yeah. Go on.
Spell SAUCE.
Have you guys got anything you want to say out to people?
I'm going to give a shout out to the Twisted Dice guys. I'm going to their tournament this weekend.
Oh, what are you taking?
Twisted Fate. I'm taking my Mixed Chaos Marines and Bloodletter Bomb list.
Okay, it's also
The
something I need to mention.
Leviathan.
Wait, so you're taking the Mixed Chaos Force and the Bloodletter Bomb?
Yeah. Chaos Marines and Bloodletters.
Is that on Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday, the 9th.
I would also like to give a shout out to the Twisted Dice guys
Yeah.
who run Twisted Fate in the hope that someone drops out last minute and I can have a ticket, please.
Good. That's a good one. So that's this Saturday. Well, if you listen to this on Friday, so it's this Sunday. So we get to hear about that next week in a condensed version because people hate hearing about tournaments, apparently. Today's show was brought to you by the letters B, D, and E, obviously. Thanks, Hillary.
All the meme letters.
Also, something I need to mention is we're going to be making some merch, probably ready for Heat 2. We're going to be making some pins, some T-shirts, and some other items. Obviously, we'll be making all TOs. If you'd like to contact us to get your Cockwomble sash that you can give out to players that are offending you, please feel free to message us.
Just get one of those, like, you know how at hen parties they have, like, this is the bride one?
Yeah.
Just give it out. There you go.
Yeah.
So everyone can congratulate them and upset them the entire weekend.
Yeah.
Be good.
That'd be good.
Nice and garish so people can identify.
Just like really bright.
Colours. Yeah.
Yeah. I prefer if we went in togas. Yeah. And then you turn up to the table like Tom and go, okay, nice to meet you. What is winning?
There was. I will give you 1 victory point. Is that considered winning?
If I was in a team tournament, though, and I needed
would this
5,
be winning?
and got 6 points,
would that be winning?
That's a win.
Yes. If I thought I was going to get smashed and I got 2 points out of 20,
would that be winning? All right, you two have been brilliant. Thank you. As always. When are we getting the Roblin resin model? Is that a thing we can make?
Why not? ETC made one.
Why not?
I think someone was talking about getting some trophies made, but probably won't do that until we do tournaments on our own. Just saying.
Hashtag just saying.
Hashtag hypothetically.
Hypothetically. All right, cool. Whatever you're doing in 40k this week, listen to this podcast, you've had a cracking time. Feel free to tell your mates.
Have fun and don't cheat.
Have fun, don't cheat. Have fun, learn your rules.
Yes, learn your
rules
well.
So that no one can accuse you of cheating.
That's key. Have fun, learn your rules. That's a great.
Make your memory aids.
Yeah, crib sheets. Also, if you make some, or you've already made some, send us some pictures. Like anything we can do. I'd love to like attach like pictures and stuff to or tweet out on Facebook or Twitter. Just be like, oh, someone sent us a picture of this cool shit. So this is nice. And then that's it. And the only other shout out I want to give to is Pink Rob. I'm going to smash up at Warhammer tomorrow because he fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But he probably beat me, so he does. Alright.
Does he use Eldar?
Huh?
Does he use Eldar?
Yeah. Is it considered winning if you use Eldar?
No.
Is this winning?
Is that winning?
Right, anyway, you guys are great. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.